Chapter 1229. Becoming the Moon in My Next Life. Ning Fan's murmurs could be heard from time to time in the starry sky. After everything was done, Ning Fan felt a trace of weakness in his devil blood. He could not help but stop moving. Standing in the void space, he took out a palm-sized wine urn from his storage pouch. It was the transformation of his ability. If he activates it, the urn could grow to the size of a small mountain. It was the urn that the Green Lotus Sword clan used to store the primordial blood wine. However, it turned out that Ning Fan had already taken the blood wine away secretly. With his abilities, no ordinary cultivator could stop or notice him when he used his teleportation ability to take something away. The consumption of my war devil blood is too heavy. Even my ancestral blood has been depleted. I still need to rely on this wine to recover my foundation. After keeping the urn, Ning Fan's expression suddenly turned gloomy. He flipped his hand again, and an old item of the sword ancestor appeared in his palm. It was the item that Taoist Nine Sword left in his storage pouch when he died. It was a sword tassel that was used by a woman. This was the sword tassel of the 9th mountain that the sword ancestor used. You asked Ning Fan how he knew the name of the sword tassel? Of course, he asked it directly. What's your name? Sword tassel of the 9th mountain. Sword tassel of the 9th mountain. Which 9th mountain is the 9th mountain? The 9th mountain of the ancient desolation. The 9th mountain of the ancient desolation. You seem to be a magic treasure. But why can't I sense your grade? Do you have no grade in the first place, or do you have the ability to hide your grade? Ning Fan asked again. I have a grade, but it's not fixed. I'm on the same level as the sword. If the treasure is strong, I'm strong. If the sword is weak, I'm weak. The sword tassel answered. What does it mean by being on the same level as the sword? Could it be that this sword tassel can only be activated when it is tied to the sword? Ning Fan and Taoist Nine Sword fought until the end. The latter did not use this sword tassel because he could not figure out its usage. Even though Ning Fan had confirmed that the sword tassel did have a certain usage through their conversation, he still needed to try it out to find out its exact usage. He took out a 12 Nirvana postnatal magic treasure from his storage pouch and tied the sword tassel to it. Nothing happened. The sword tassel was useless. Then he took out another low-grade innate sword. This sword was also taken from the treasure vault of the Green Lotus Sword clan. The sword tassel was also useless on this sword. Ning Fan even took out his true martial dual swords to try, but he still could not activate the power of the sword tassels. He had tried hundreds of sword-type magic treasures, but none of them could activate the power contained in the sword tassel. However, when Ning Fan tried to summon the ocean-defying sword and tie the sword tassel on it, gray chi suddenly rose from the sword tassel and soared into the sky. That was no ordinary gray gas. That gray chi actually contained a trace of the chi of the great wilderness. Ning Fan did not know what that chi was, but he could actually sense a trace of danger from it. At this moment, Ning Fan was in an uninhabited region of the starry sky. As soon as the gray chi soared into the sky, it immediately swept towards the tens of abandoned cultivation planets around him. Then something terrible happened. The gray gas seemed to be able to devour all life force within its range, and several dozen abandoned planets were directly reduced to dust wherever it passed. That kind of ashes was not intentionally destroyed by a divine power, but by the gray mist, which had absorbed the last trace of star power from those abandoned stars. After sucking up dozens of stars, it still couldn't satisfy the gray gas's hunger. It continued to spread further into the starry sky. Finally, some low-level cultivation planets began to appear. Seeing that the gray gas was about to harm the innocent people, Ning Fan made a move in his mind and stopped it from spreading further. The gray gas seemed to be dissatisfied, but it did not resist Ning Fan's order. After all, it had devoured the life force of dozens of stars. When he looked at the sword tassel of the 9th mountain again, there was actually an immemorial sword intent awakening from it. That immemorial sword intent did not seem to belong to the sword ancestor. Instead, it seemed to be something that came with the sword tassel itself. Perhaps, the sword ancestor had also obtained this sword tassel by accident from somewhere. Under the enhancement of the immemorial sword intent, the power of the ocean-defying sword rose steadily. Eventually, its power became so strong that it went out of control. Even Ningfan could not suppress the sword anymore, and was nearly devoured by it. Ningfan decided to unleash all the immemorial sword intent inside the ocean-defying sword. However, this slash was indeed a little earth-shattering. This slash produced a gray sword light with a human face on it. It looked demonic no matter how one looked at it. That human-faced sword light let out a hideous laugh. Wherever it passed, the uninhabited starry sky was directly cut into half. The great Tao of the heavens collapsed under its attack. The power of this single slash was definitely not any weaker than Taoist Nine Swords' life-risking sword. However, after that single slash, the immemorial sword intent of the ocean-defying sword was completely exhausted. If Ningfan does not replenish his sword intent, he would not be able to produce the human-faced sword light anymore. Obviously, the method to replenish the immemorial sword intent could only be used once and not continuously. There was another noteworthy point. The end of the sword tassel was adorned with colorful tassels. There were originally more than 30 of them. However, after Ningfan slashed out the human-faced sword light, one of the colorful tassels broke and turned into ashes, scattering across heaven and earth. I roughly understand now. This sword tassel can only unleash its power when it is tied to a sword. It can't be an ordinary magic treasure. It must be tied to a Tao weapon. This sword tassel absorbs the life force within its range by emitting gray qi and transforms it into immemorial sword intent. Then it will unleash the attack of the human-faced sword. There is also a limit to the number of times it can be used. That limit is the number of colorful tassels. Therefore, this sword tassel can't be used without a limit. If all the colorful tassels are used up, the sword tassel itself might be destroyed. This sword tassel of the ninth mountain is really a sharp weapon. However, I can't bear to use it. Ningfan let out a sigh. The significance of this item was extraordinary. It was one of the few old items left behind by the sword ancestor in this world. In the past, he did not understand the karma between him and the sword ancestor. When he obtained some scabbards of the sword ancestor by chance, he would just casually use them and did not cherish them. Now, however, he understood. When the sword ancestor disappeared from his side time and time again, he finally realized that there was once a silent lady who stood in the dusty time and protected him on the other side of reincarnation. She had left. He finally understood. Is it too late to cherish her now? It's better not to use this sword tassel. If I use it too much, this old item will no longer exist in this world. Ningfan seemed to have made some kind of decision. Even though he still tied the sword tassel to the ocean-defying sword, he decided not to use the power of the sword tassel's human-face slash. From then on, the sword tassel would only be used as an accessory to accompany his Tao sword. Ningfan kept the ocean-defying sword and took out the other old items of the sword ancestor. Most of them were female accessories. After all, the sword ancestor was a lady. It was impossible for her not to like dressing up. However, the sword ancestor's hobby was a little strange. Her accessories were not luxurious, but all of them were related to swords. That soft jade bracelet was actually a soft sword when it was unfolded. The small pendant of the golden ornament could also turn into a flying sword to hurt the enemy after activating its ability. Even the silver earring was made into the shape of a small sword. Its design was quite unique. However, there was only one of it. Earrings usually came in pairs. Ningfan did not know why Taoist Nine Sword only had one earring of the sword ancestor. He probably lost it. Is this what they mean by, I don't love the red but love the sword? Ningfan found it funny when he thought about it. How much did Qingling like swords in the past? That's why he would also make the earring into a concealed weapon in the shape of a small sword. When he thought about it again, he felt a little suffocated. Too many years had settled in these old items. Those were the peaceful years that belonged to Qingling. Those years belonged to Qingling but not him. Ningfan stared at the earring blankly. After staying silent for a long time, he finally smiled and carefully kept all the old items. He was not a sentimental person in the first place. It was fine for him to do it occasionally. Instead of reminiscing about the old items, it was better for him to reform Qingling's soul and revive her in this world again. At that time, he would naturally have a lot of time to have a good talk with this woman who had deep karma with him. He really looked forward to the arrival of that day. How good would it be if that day really comes? Before dawn, Ning Fan quietly returned to the Lost World Palace and returned to Bei Qinghan's residence. Very few people knew that another quasi-saint realm expert had fallen on this unusual night. Even though very few people knew about it, it did not mean that no one knew about it. As soon as Ning Fan returned to Bei Qinghan's residence, he suddenly noticed a change in something in his storage pouch. The thing that changed was his immortal position token. His immortal position was originally just a 5th grade golden immortal. However, it showed signs of advancing to the 4th grade heavenly supervisor. This is... Ning Fan looked at the token thoughtfully. After 10 breaths of time, the immortal position token officially advanced to the 4th grade heavenly supervisor token. However, the advancement of the immortal position token did not stop. After another 10 breaths of time, the token advanced to the 3rd grade and became a Star Lord token. I don't seem to have done anything special. Why would my immortal position token suddenly advance? Ning Fan was puzzled. Since he had doubts in his heart, he would just ask the token directly. Bei Xiaoman woke up. She did not forget that she was going to be her second sister's maid for 3 days. After she woke up, she helped her second sister wash up, and then happily went to find Ning Fan. As soon as she opened the door of Ning Fan's room, she saw a strange scene. Ning Fan was sitting alone in the room, talking to a token that was shining with starlight. Tell me, why did you suddenly advance? Oh, are you saying that Taoist 9 Sword, who I killed, also has an immortal position in the 4 Fish sect, and he's someone on the Star Lord ranking? What's the Star Lord ranking? I see. In other words, there are actually more than 28 ancient star constellation emperors of the 4 Fish sect on the Star Lord ranking. There are many others. However, ordinary people don't know about the existence of the Star Lord ranking. All of a sudden, the air became very quiet. Ning Fan stopped talking to the token and raised his head. What he saw was Bei Xiaoman, who was in a petrified state. It's over. It's over. My little Fan is broken. Could it be that he made a mistake in his cultivation and fell into qi deviation? Otherwise, why would I be talking to this token? Bei Xiaoman felt like crying. She slowly walked towards Ning Fan and gave him a big hug. Her motherly instincts were triggered. Little Fan, don't worry. Even if I have to kneel on the Eternal Spring Island for 1,000 years, it's fine. I will definitely ask for an immortal pill to cure you. Are you misunderstanding something? Ning Fan was speechless. However, he did not push her away. Because he was sitting and she was standing, his face happened to be stuck to one of her soft objects. It was very comfortable. In order not to be treated as a lunatic by Bei Xiaoman, Ning Fan tried his best to explain to her in a language that she could understand. Yes. I believe you. Of course I believe you. You're a normal person. All those who have mental problems say the same thing. Yes. Everything you said is right. You can talk to all living beings. You can take the heavens as your wife, the earth as your concubine, and all living beings as your cauldron. I know all of these. You've cultivated the yin-yang transformation, right? Bei Xiaoman tried her best to smile and comfort Ning Fan. However, her heart ached even more. Ning Fan sighed helplessly. Forget it. You can think whatever you want. In other words, you're finally willing to admit that you have mental problems. Bei Xiaoman heaved a sigh of relief. Among those with mental problems, the most difficult to cure were those who did not realize that they were ill. Since little Fan could still realize that he was ill, it meant that his condition was not serious and he could still be saved. Rest well. I will go to the Eternal Spring Island and ask for medicine for you now. Bei Xiaoman acted in a hurry. After saying that she wanted to ask for medicine, she immediately left the Lost World Palace and went to the Eternal Spring Island. The Eternal Spring Island was the holy land in the eyes of pill cultivators in the northern heaven. The master of the island was said to be a quasi-saint realm expert who lived in seclusion. From Bei Xiaoman's point of view, as long as she goes to the Eternal Spring Island, she would definitely have a way to ask for an immortal pill to cure Ning Fan. Ning Fan tried his best to persuade Bei Xiaoman to stop. In the end, even though Bei Xiaoman did not go to the Eternal Spring Island to cause a ruckus, she still caused a huge ruckus in Bei Qinghan's residence. All kinds of precious medicinal herbs that Bei Qinghan had collected in her residence were used by Bei Xiaoman to make soup for Ningfan. Every single one of them had the ability to nourish the brain. After causing such a ruckus, Ningfan did not have the time to study the changes of the token. After thinking for a while, he felt that the token was not important to him given his current status. Thus, he simply threw it back into his storage pouch and ignored it. Ningfan did not care about the changes of his immortal position. However, it did not mean that the others did not care about it. Everyone knew that the immortal positions of the Four Majestic sect were divided into 9 grades. The 9th grade Strength Warrior, the 8th grade Immortal Guard and the 7th grade Mountain River Deacon were the lowest grade immortal positions. The 6th grade All-Heaven Guardian, the 5th grade Golden Immortal and the 4th grade Heavenly Supervisor were the mid-grade immortal positions. The 3rd grade Star Lord, the 2nd grade Tao Emperor and the 1st grade Spiritual Ancestor were the high-grade immortal positions. Everyone said that the cultivators with the highest immortal positions in the current world were the 28-star constellation Ancient Emperors of the Four Majestic sect. All of them were 3rd grade Star Lords. However, this was actually a misunderstanding. In the Northern Heaven, only those who were at the Quasi-Saint realm and above knew that there were more than 28-star constellation Ancient Emperors. In the Four Majestic sect, there was actually a Star Lord ranking. In the Northern Heaven, there were many unknown existences who held the Star Lord immortal positions. Ordinary people did not know about them, but the Star Lord ranking recorded their names. During the Age of Dharma ending, the highest immortal position was only the Star Lord immortal position. This was true. However, there were also differences among the Star Lords. For example, the 28-star constellation Ancient Emperors could only be considered as low-grade Star Lords. Daoist 9 Sword of the Green Lotus Sword Clan, on the other hand, had become a nominal mid-grade Star Lord of the Four Majestic sect by chance. If it was an ordinary immortal position, a person with a lower immortal position could not replace the person with a higher immortal position by killing them. However, if one kills a mid-grade Star Lord or above, he could directly replace the Star Lord's immortal position. This was something that very few people knew. In the past, Daoist 9 Sword had murdered an unlucky quasi-saint who barged into the Soul Spring. That was how he replaced the Star Lord's immortal position and became a mid-grade Star Lord. Now that the tables had turned and Daoist 9 Sword was killed by Ningfan, the mid-grade Star Lord position naturally fell into Ningfan's hands. In the headquarters of the Four Majestic sect, Old Ancestor Leisure was leisurely monitoring the starry sky crystal. Suddenly he sensed something. His expression turned serious and he immediately went to the Star Lord stele in the headquarters. When he took a look, he realized that the 27th Star Lord on the stele had been replaced. It was no longer Daoist 9 Sword whom he had never heard of. The 27th Star Lord had become Ningfan. Of course, this was because Ningfan did not hide the heavenly secret on purpose. He felt that it did not matter. Otherwise, even the Star Lord stele might not be able to show his name. That scared me. It turns out that Little Uncle Master killed an unknown Daoist 9 Sword and replaced him. Old Ancestor Lei heaved a sigh of relief. The Little Uncle Master he mentioned was naturally Ningfan. He had never heard of that Daoist 9 Sword before. Since he was dead, he did not feel any heartache at all. As long as the high-grade Star Lords were not fighting for each other's Dao Art stars, it was not a big deal. I wonder what is the cultivation base of the Daoist 9 Sword whom Little Uncle Master killed. I don't think he is a quasi-saint. If he is a quasi-saint, doesn't it mean that Little Uncle Master has killed another quasi-saint? How can there be so many quasi-saints in the world that can be killed so easily? Old Ancestor Lei smiled casually. However, he did not know that he had accidentally spoken the truth. The Daoist 9 Sword whom Ningfan killed was really a quasi-saint. Jiu Xiaojiu had been waiting for an opportunity to sneak attack Ningfan. Previously, when Ningfan went to the inverting spring, she vaguely sensed that Ningfan had something that she had been searching for. If Ningfan was just an ordinary person, Jiu Xiaojiu would have already robbed him. However, Ningfan was too powerful. Oh my god! Where did this little thief go last night? Why did he bring a trace of quasi-saint baleful qi with him when he returned? He hid it perfectly, But how could he hide it from me, Jiu Xiaojiu? Could it be that this little thief went out in the middle of the night to kill a quasi-saint? Could it be that he is really a legendary ancient great cultivator? Otherwise, how could he kill a quasi-saint in a single night? Jiu Xiaojiu was perfectly hidden in a well of a Dao spring in Beiqing Han's residence. Her true form was a clear wine brewed by a fourth-step-old monster in the ancient era. Due to her powerful background, her cultivation base was only at the void realm, but her techniques were extremely powerful. She was especially good at hiding. As long as there is water around her, she could hide herself perfectly in the water. Even Ning Fan would not be able to sense her presence in the water. Humph. So what if you are really an ancient great cultivator? I can't defeat you, but I can still play dirty, can't I? Just wait a little longer. I will definitely find a chance to get close to you. Jiu Xiaojiu waited and waited. Finally, she got the chance that she wanted. She could finally get close to Ning Fan. Wasn't Bei Xiaoman worried that Ning Fan's brain was damaged? Thus, Bei Xiaoman requested the pill refinement master in her residence to use the brain-nourishing spiritual herbs that she had plundered to brew a soup for him. Why was it boiled instead of concocting pills? Of course, it was because concocting pills required a lot of time. Ning Fan's condition was too serious. How could he afford to delay it for so long? Thus, he could only boil some medicinal soup to keep his condition in check. Sigh. The fourth miss really knows how to torture people. I am a dignified lead-grade pill refinement master. But I was actually sent to boil medicinal soup for her gigolo. It's really a waste of my talents. Suddenly, an old monster Duzhen appeared beside the Dao spring. He was a 9th Revolution pill refinement master hired by Beiqing Han. Due to his superb pill concoction technique, he was considered as a somewhat famous person in the entire northern heaven. He came to the Dao spring to fetch some water to boil soup. Everything he did was under Bei Xiaoman's order. With his status, he did not know that Ning Fan was the legendary ancient great cultivator, Zhao Jian. Thus, his tone was filled with dissatisfaction. However, he did not dare to disobey the orders of the dignified fourth miss of the Lost World Palace. This much water should be enough, right? The pill refinement master took enough Dao spring from the well and left. He did not know that the female demon, Jiu Xiaojiu, was hiding in the Dao spring that he took away. A few hours later, Bei Xiaoman came to Ning Fan with a bowl of piping hot medicinal soup. Just as she pushed the door open, she realized that the situation inside the room was a little strange. Why is Mother in Ning Fan's room? After meeting Ning Fan at the toppling mountain, she had deliberately wanted to avoid him. Because of this reason, she did not come again even though Ning Fan had kept his promise to wait for her in Beiqing Han's residence. She did not really want to see Ning Fan. There was always a barrier in her heart that she could not cross. Unfortunately, she received a piece of news. Ning Fan was sick. Moreover, he was very sick. His mind was muddled. Of course, this was a misunderstanding caused by Bei Xiaoman. However, Yuan Yao was still a little worried because spirit sense was too important to cultivators. Since Ning Fan's spirit sense had become muddled, it was definitely not a minor illness. Judging from the symptoms, it was more likely that he had been schemed against by a supreme being. According to rumors, there was a quasi-saint realm old monster who lived in seclusion on the Eternal Spring Island of the Northern Heaven. He was a divine doctor who practiced medicine to save the world. As long as a patient kneels on the Eternal Spring Island for 1,000 years, this quasi-saint realm expert would certainly give them medicine and cure them. Even Bei Xiaoman deeply believed in this rumor. However, Yuan Yao knew that this rumor was false. Cultivators usually had a physique that was immune to all kinds of diseases. How could they fall sick so easily? Patients often appeared in the Northern Heaven cultivation world. These patients were actually man-made. The culprit who caused them to fall sick was none other than that divine doctor himself. The master of the Eternal Spring Island, Daoist Chongsang, was definitely not a kind person. This person seemed to have some kind of title that could cause plague and plague to people. Therefore, when Yuan Yao heard that Ning Fan was sick, she suspected that he had been schemed against by Daoist Chongsang. Thus, she hurriedly rushed over. How could she still have the time to hide from Ning Fan? Unfortunately, she had just arrived. Before she could say a few words to Ning Fan, she was already seen by her younger daughter. Immediately, she felt so guilty that she wanted to hide herself. Elder sister, why are you here? Bei Xiaoman originally wanted to call Yuan Yao mother. Luckily, she remembered Yuan Yao's request at the last moment, and changed the way she addressed her. Bei Xiaoman did not understand why her mother would come here. Recently, she had been lost in love and her intelligence was obviously low. All of a sudden, Bei Xiaoman thought of a possibility. Recently, she had read a cultivation novel. The plot of the story was too similar to what was happening right now. In that story, there was a poor young man with a low cultivation base who fell in love with the eldest miss of a cultivation family. The young man and the eldest miss were deeply in love. However, because the young man's cultivation base was too low and his family background was too poor, this relationship was not acknowledged by the eldest Miss's family. In the end, the eldest Miss mother found the young man and told him, "If you leave my daughter, I will give you a good fortune. If you continue to pester me, I will send you to your death." The plot was too similar, alright. Bei Xiaoman was so anxious that she burst into tears. She kind of understood why her mother would look for Ning Fan. She wanted Ning Fan to back off and leave her. "Xiaoman, can you go out for a while? I have something to tell Ning Fan." Yuan Yao felt guilty. There were some words that she could not bear to let Xiaoman know. "As I thought, mother is avoiding me because she wants to chase little Fan Fan away." Bei Xiaoman was in a dilemma. She had always listened to her mother the most. Now that her mother asked her to go out, she certainly did not dare to stay here. However, she could not bear to abandon Ning Fan after making use of him. "Wait, what are you holding in your hand?" Yuan Yao suddenly asked curiously. "It's a medicinal soup. It can nourish the brain. I prepared it for little Fan Fan." When Bei Xiaoman thought of Ning Fan's illness, her eyes immediately turned red. She really felt sorry for little Fan Fan. A medicinal soup of this level is probably useless. Yuan Yao sighed softly. If Ning Fan's illness was really the result of Daoist Chongsang's scheme, how could it be cured by ordinary medicinal soup? I can leave this place and not disturb your conversation. However, you must make sure that little Fan Fan drinks this medicinal soup. You have to promise me. Under Bei Xiaoman's insistence, the medicinal soup was left behind in the end. As for Bei Xiaoman herself, Yuan Yao found an excuse to send her away. She was sent far away and directly sent to northern Qinghan residence. This medicinal soup seems to be. Ning Fan glanced at the medicinal soup on the table imperceptibly, and then retracted his gaze. He seemed to have seen through something, but at the same time, he seemed to have seen through nothing. Even though it was just a casual glance, it still gave Jiu Xiaojiu a great shock. How scary. This little thief's gaze is sharper than a knife and colder than ice. I was so scared that I almost exposed my qi. Finally, Jiu Xiaojiu calmed herself down and continued to hide in the medicinal soup. Initially, she wanted to attack Ning Fan immediately. However, Yuan Yao's next words greatly piqued her interest. Thus, she was not in a hurry to make her move. "I heard that you are sick." Yuan Yao finally opened her mouth and said softly. Of course, she was talking to Ning Fan. However, Jiu Xiaojiu felt very happy after hearing what Ning Fan said. She hated Ning Fan so much that she was invincible. Now that Ning Fan was sick, of course, she would feel happy. Why didn't this little thief die of illness? It's not like that. It's Xiaoman who misunderstood him. Ning Fan originally wanted to say that. However, when he met Yuan Yao's concerned eyes, he suddenly changed his words and did not say that. Ning Fan actually lied and admitted that he was a lunatic. Does this place hurt twice every day in the morning and at dusk? Yuan Yao's heart ached when she heard Ning Fan's words. She tapped the top of Ning Fan's head with her soft palm. Of course, Ning Fan's head would not feel any pain. However, if he were to put on an act, he would have to go all the way. It's all right. It's not particularly painful. Ning Fan intentionally sighed. You're lying. I heard that you are suffering from the head plague of the master of Eternal Spring Island. That kind of pain can directly kill a true immortal. Why do you have to be so stubborn? That's right. You were just this stubborn in the past. Yuan Yao only thought that Ning Fan was putting on a brave front. She was already 100% sure that Ning Fan had been tricked by Daoist Chongsang of Eternal Spring Island. If it wasn't because her cultivation base was too weak, she really wanted to kill her way to Eternal Spring Island and help Ning Fan vent his anger. That pitiful Daoist Chongsang did not do anything but take the blame. It was also because of this incident that Ning Fan finally had a trace of interest towards the so-called Eternal Spring Island. What is this Eternal Spring Island? Ning Fan asked. Bei Xiaoman seemed to have mentioned it before. You don't have to ask too much. I will help you handle this matter. Even if I have to kneel on the island for 1,000 years, I will certainly get the antidote for you. Yuan Yao said resolutely. Ning Fan really did not know whether he should feel touched or ridicule her. Why do these two sisters, Bei Yao and Bei Xiaoman? Even their tone is so similar. Should I say that they are indeed biological sisters? At the end of the day, I am more touched than touched. In this world, how many people are willing to kneel for 1,000 years and beg for others? Ning Fan thought for a while. He probably would not kneel. It was not because he could not let go of his dignity. Instead, it was because his personality was born that way. When faced with the same problem, he would only choose to use force to overcome force. Whatever immortal pills he wanted, he would naturally not kneel and beg for them. He would either trade with others or snatch them by force. He would always get them. If he could not get them, he could only snatch them. If he could not snatch them, he could only snatch them by force. This was the style of a devil that was personally taught to him by the old devil. Actually, I'm not sick. I was just joking with you just now. Ning Fan could not bear to tease Yuan Yao anymore. However, Yuan Yao did not believe him. She still felt that Ning Fan was putting on a brave front and was being stubborn. Sigh. Yuan Yao lowered her head and saw the bowl of medicine on the table. After thinking for a while, she decided that even though this medicine was not suitable for treating his illness, it could still nourish his brain. Thus, she decided to persuade Ning Fan to drink it. Fine. You should drink this medicine first. Yuan Yao planned to persuade Ning Fan to drink the medicine. This scared Jiu Xiaojiu to death. She was hiding in the medicinal soup. Her true form was Qing Shuijiu. If Ning Fan drinks it, what if he has a powerful ability and refines her? It was not that she had never thought of crawling into Ning Fan's stomach and causing a ruckus. However, who was Ning Fan? He seemed to be an ancient great cultivator, alright? Such a risk was just too great. No. I can't wait any longer. If this little bastard really drinks it, my life will be over. Jiu Xiaojiu no longer waited for an opportunity. She decided to attack Ning Fan immediately and sneak attack him. As a result, a trace of strange wine fragrance suddenly drifted out from the medicinal soup. The power of the wine fragrance this time was far greater than the previous time. This time, the wine fragrance even contained a trace of Qing Shuijiu's third step power. What's going on? My body. Yuan Yao was hit by the wine fragrance. The wine fragrance of the third step easily made her drunk. Ning Fan was already prepared for it. How could he be hurt by Jiu Xiaojiu's wine fragrance? Seeing that Jiu Xiaojiu finally could not help but attack him, Ning Fan immediately snorted coldly and used the finger-pointing heavenly technique to freeze Jiu Xiaojiu in the medicinal soup. It's impossible. You already knew that I was here. Jiu Xiaojiu was scared out of her wits. She was frozen to death. She was captured by Ning Fan. Female demon, tell me your purpose. Ning Fan was not an idiot. This female demon had come to him time and time again. She definitely had a purpose. The strange thing was that his mind-reading technique was actually ineffective against her. Thus, he could only ask her directly. Humph. Just kill me. I won't tell you. Jiu Xiaojiu was rather stubborn. Kill you? After I kill you, you can reincarnate to another place and be reborn with the help of the wine qi. So why would I kill you? Why don't I just drink you? Green light flashed across Ning Fan's eyes as if he had seen through all of Jiu Xiaojiu's abilities. As soon as Jiu Xiaojiu heard that Ning Fan wanted to drink her face turned pale. Why you dare? If you drink me, Grandpa Fishlord will certainly take revenge for me. No, I didn't say Grandpa Fishlord. This matter has nothing to do with him. Jiu Xiaojiu originally wanted to use the tiger's skin to scare Ning Fan. However, when she thought about how Ning Fan could even kill a quasi-saint realm being, she thought that he might be a great cultivator from the ancient times. If Grandpa Fish Lord is involved in this matter, won't he be in trouble? She immediately changed her words. Fish Lord. Ning Fan frowned slightly. Just as he was about to ask about Jiu Xiaojiu's background in detail, his lips suddenly felt warm and something kissed him. Hot. So hot. Yuan Yao was drunk. Am I drunk again? Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He would never admit that the reason why he allowed Jiu Xiaojiu to stay in the medicinal soup was because he wanted something similar to this to happen. In that case, how could he still have the mood to play with Jiu Xiaojiu? After sealing her up, he threw her into the profound Yin world and locked her up. Then all sorts of strange things happened in the room. Bei Xiaoman was sent away. However, Bei Qinghan was still there. Bei Qinghan stood outside Ning Fan's room with a shocked expression. That's right. Ning Fan's room was equipped with a restrictive formation. The people outside could not hear what was happening inside. However, one mustn't forget that this was her house. With her shrewdness, she would surely have a way to find out what was happening inside the room. Oh my god. Mother and Ning Fan actually. Interesting. This is too interesting. Things are really as I expected. What kind of posture is this? Do you have to be so rough? Oh ho ho ho. Mother has actually been placed in such a position. Now I can really see everything. Bei Qinghan still wanted to continue peeking. Suddenly, a breeze blew out from the room and landed on her body, directly blowing her thousands of li away. She was directly blown out of Western Palace Island and into the Sea of Time. Little girl, you are still too young. These scenes are not suitable for you to watch. Ning Fan's displeased voice could be heard in the breeze. It was also because Bei Qinghan peeked. He was only giving her a small punishment because he was concerned about Bei Yao and Xiaoman's reputation. Bei Qinghan exploded with anger. You slept with my younger sister and my mother, but you still don't allow me to watch. You're shameless. What? What did you call Yao? Did you say mother? Ning Fan's voice was like a thunderclap. He finally knew why she had been avoiding him all this while. However, the arrow was already knocked on the bowstring. He really couldn't care less anymore. With his intelligence, even though he had guessed the truth in an instant, he could no longer stop. How could he stop? Since he couldn't stop, he might as well go all the way. After the storm passed, Yuan Yao felt so ashamed that she wanted to die. She had sworn to avoid Ning Fan. Who can tell her why she slept with him again? Moreover, she actually slept with him for real this time. I remember that I seemed to have smelled the fragrance of wine just now. That fragrance was very familiar. I remember now. The one who did it was that female cultivator whom I met on Reverse Mountain. Yuan Yao hated Jiu Xiaojiu to the core. If it wasn't for her, why would she get drunk again and do that to Ning Fan again? Ning Fan, stop now. Quickly get out of here. Yuan Yao, who had sobered up naturally, did not want to continue. I heard that dual cultivation can cure the head plague. Ning Fan gave Yuan Yao a reason. He knew that Yuan Yao needed a reason to cross the threshold in her heart. Otherwise, this stubborn woman would certainly be drowned in guilt. What? I was schemed against by the Dao Master of Eternal Spring and got the head plague. Dual cultivation with you can cure the head plague. That way my head won't hurt anymore. Is this reason enough? Ning Fan's non-existent mental illness became the reason to comfort Yuan Yao instead. Really? When talking about Ning Fan's illness, Yuan Yao's heart softened a little. The guilt in her heart also lessened a little. Anyway, it had already happened. If this can really alleviate Ning Fan's illness, then I'll just bear with it for a while longer. Then hurry up. Yuan Yao closed her eyes and pleaded with a soft voice. All right. Yuan Yao only left Bei Qinghan residence in a bad mood when it was late at night. She swore that she would never trust Ning Fan again. She had clearly asked Ning Fan to hurry up, but he still dragged it for so long, causing her to embarrass herself and making her beg for mercy continuously. Since it had already happened, it would be impossible for her not to blame herself. However, when she thought of Ning Fan's head plague, Yuan Yao could not be bothered to blame herself anymore. In the future, she would still stay far away from Ning Fan. However, the matter regarding Ning Fan's head plague also needed to be resolved properly. Fine. I'll first send someone to probe the disciples of Eternal Spring Island, and see if it's possible for the master of Eternal Spring Island to let Ning Fan go and retract his scheme. Yuan Yao let out a faint sigh. She did not like to lower her head to beg others. However, if it's for the sake of the people she cared about, she would not mind doing so. She treated her 4 daughters the same way, and it was the same for Ning Fan. However, she did not know if the other party would let Ning Fan go. Chapter 1230. In order to revive the Sword Ancestors' orthodoxy, Ning Fan had lost a lot of devil blood. His ancient devil ancestor blood was even used up. Due to this reason, Ning Fan's chi and blood looked rather weak. In the eyes of Bei Xiaoman and her daughter, it became the irrefutable evidence that Ning Fan was beyond cure. When she thought of Ning Fan's slightly pale complexion, Yuan Yao became even more determined to cure him. She sent someone to Eternal Spring Island, saying that she had something to ask of them. However, her message was like a stone sinking into the ocean. She did not get any reply from them. Eternal Spring Island in Northern Heaven. Eternal Spring Island was where Taoist Chongsang's dojo was located. It was one of the 9 great blessed lands of Northern Heaven. The island was like spring all year round with abundant spiritual qi. As far as the eye could see, it was filled with thriving medicinal fields. Those who did not know the truth would certainly be enchanted by the beautiful scenery of the medicinal fields. Only those ancient monsters with powerful spirit senses could sense that countless corpses of cultivators were buried under the medicinal fields. All of them were the failed cultivators who came here to seek medicine and treatment. The people of the world only knew that Taoist Chongsang was kind and skillful. However, they did not know that one would have to pay a huge price and take a huge risk to ask for Taoist Chongsang's help. First of all, one would have to kneel on Eternal Spring Island for 1,000 years to express their sincerity. Secondly, one would have to complete the 9 trials that Taoist Chongsang set up. Only by passing all of them would one be qualified to receive his help. Failure would mean death. The difficulty of the 9 trials was extremely high. 70 to 80% of those who came to seek medicine would die during the trials. In the end, their bones would be buried under the medicinal fields and become fertilizer. At this moment, 4 disciples of the Eternal Spring sect who were shrouded in 7-colored luck were conducting the 9 trials for a group of people who came to seek medicine. These 4 disciples were all immortal Emperor realm cultivators. Their appearances were even more peculiar. One was tall, one was short, one was fat and one was skinny. Due to the luck on their bodies, they could only see their rough silhouettes but not their actual appearances. While the 9 trials were going on, the skinny immortal emperor among the 4 disciples suddenly exclaimed. Then he bent his palm and drew a messenger flying sword from the starry sky. Who is seeking medicine this time? The eldest disciple of Taoist Chongsang, the tallest immortal emperor, asked bluntly. His immortal title was Great Emperor East Plague. It's the Palace Lord of the Lost World Palace, a little girl who's shedding space. The skinny immortal emperor said in disdain. He was the 4th disciple of Taoist Chongsang, and his immortal title was Great Emperor North Plague. Who is this girl asking for medicine for? Could it be that it was for his master, the old woman of the Western Palace? If that's the case, it's not like I can't let her off the hook. However, what's strange is that I don't remember Master making a move against the old woman from the Western Palace. The 2nd disciple, the Southern Plague Great Emperor, asked. It's not for the old woman in the Western Palace. It seems to be for one of her juniors. Then just ignore her. This woman really doesn't know the rules. Even those ancient immortal venerables have to kneel for 1,000 years when they come to my Eternal Spring Island to ask for medicine. Hee. Is sending a voice transmission to ask for medicine something she can do? Does she think she is an immortal king or an immortal emperor? The 3rd disciple, Great Emperor Western Plague, coldly sneered. 3rd junior brother is right. Let's quickly deal with this batch of people who are asking for medicine. Let's not waste time on the matter of a little kid from the Lost World Palace. The 2nd disciple, Great Emperor Western Plague nodded. To these high and mighty immortal emperors, Yuan Yao was just a little kid. The mere title of the palace Lord of the Lost World Palace could not scare them at all. As such, Yuan Yao's message was like a stone sinking into the ocean. There was no response. For several days, Yuan Yao did not receive any reply. How could she not understand the meaning of Eternal Spring Island? It seems like I have to go to Eternal Spring Island personally. Only then will there be a glimmer of hope to solve this matter. Yuan Yao sighed helplessly. It was not that she did not know the rules. It was also not that she was unwilling to go to Eternal Spring Island personally and kneel for 1,000 years. The problem was that the second round of the grand competition was just around the corner. Would the Lost World Palace let the Palace Lord go? Of course not. If she wants to go to Eternal Spring Island, she would at least have to wait until all 3 rounds of the grand competition are over. Otherwise, her master alone would never let her leave the island. She really had no choice. After the 3rd round of the grand competition is over, I will go to Eternal Spring Island personally. Yuan Yao made up her mind. Ning Fan had lost too much of his devil blood. Of course, he had to solve this matter. Fortunately, he had taken a large amount of ancient devil blood wine from the Green Lotus Sword clan. As long as he refines all of the blood wine, he could easily replenish the devil blood that he had lost. The only problem was that the devil talisman's injuries were too severe. It was not easy to recover. Previously, in order to revive the sword ancestor's orthodoxy, Ning Fan had sacrificed all of his ancient devil ancestral blood. In total, he had sacrificed 10 drops of ancestral blood. Among these 10 drops of ancestral blood, 6 of them were produced on the spot in the Green Lotus Sword clan. As these 6 drops had yet to fuse with the devil talisman, even if they were lost, the damage to the devil talisman would be negligible. However, the problem was the 4 drops of ancestral blood that he sacrificed in the beginning. Those 4 drops of ancestral blood had already fused with the devil talisman. The consequence of forcefully sacrificing them was that all 236 strokes on the devil talisman were broken. They needed to be repaired one by one. Refining the ancient devil blood wine did not take too long. However, repairing the devil talisman was definitely not something that could be completed in 3 to 5 days. Xiaoman, I have some urgent matters to attend to. I need to enter the Lost World Tower for a while. Is there a Lost World Tower that I can enter and exit at any time? I want to enter the tower for a few days of seclusion. When the 2nd round begins, I will naturally come out and become your chess soldier. Ning Fan asked. You want to enter the Lost World Tower? No way. The 2nd round of the grand competition is just around the corner. The time power of the entire Sea of Time has been drawn to the 4 corners chess realm. All the Lost World Towers have been sealed. It's useless for you to enter. Wait. Why don't you just go to the 4 corners chess realm to cultivate? The flow of time in the 4 corners chess realm is 1/10,000th of the outside world. Besides, the flow of time there is no restriction on the level of one's cultivation base. It's much better if you just go to the 4 corners chess realm. Bei Xiaoman answered. The 4 corners chess realm that Bei Xiaoman mentioned was the place where all the chess soldiers would fight after the 2nd round begins. There are still 5 days before the 2nd round begins. Is it inappropriate for me to go there in advance? Ning Fan asked. Don't worry. I'm the 4th mistress of the Lost World Palace after all. I still have the authority to go there. There are still 5 days before the 2nd round begins. In other words, you can stay in seclusion for 50,000 days and nights in the chess world. I think such a long period of time should be enough for you. By the way, you have to bring this token of the chess devil with you. When the 2nd round begins, this token will be the token for you to fight in the 4 corners chess realm. Bei Xiaoman handed Ning Fan an identity token. It was the token for Ning Fan to participate in the 2nd round. There were 2 lines of words engraved on the front of the token. Devil. Bei Xiaoman. It meant that Ning Fan was Bei Xiaoman's chess soldier. The type of chess soldier was the devil among the fiend gods, demons, immortals and ghosts. There were also 2 lines of words engraved on the back of the token. No chess world talisman. No military merit. What's a chess world talisman? Ning Fan asked casually. After the second round begins, all the chess soldiers in the chess world will be randomly given 3 chess world talismans. If you want more chess world talismans, you will have to purchase them separately. Speaking of chess world talismans, this item is especially important. It's an ancient talisman that can only be used in the chess world. Bei Xiaoman explained at least 100,000 words. Thus, she had to omit 100,000 words. Alright. I understand. Ning Fan said indifferently. You really understand? You've memorized the types, effects and prices of the 3,000 chess world talismans? Bei Xiaoman asked with uncertainty. I've memorized them all. In other words, when the second round begins, I only need to eliminate all the enemies that I encounter. No, you don't understand at all. Bei Xiaoman held her forehead helplessly. Forget it. I chose you as a chess soldier because I don't expect you to make many military merits for me. If you don't want to remember these rules, you don't have to. When the second round begins, I will send other chess soldiers to protect you. You just need to protect yourself. That's more important than anything else. You have to remember that you're a patient. Don't force yourself if you encounter any problems. When the battle begins, if the enemy's chess soldiers want to kill you, just run away. Don't be afraid even if you can't escape because no one will really die in the chess world. Bei Xiaoman reminded him repeatedly. Thus, Ning Fan entered the four-sided chess world 5 days earlier by using the back door. The four-sided chess world was a damaged vast thousand world that was controlled by the Lost World Palace. It would only be opened for a short period of time during the second round of the grand competition. It would be in a sealed state, and no one was allowed to enter during the competition. The rules of the second round of the grand competition required the disciples of the 3 palaces of the Lost World Palace to compete in the 6 games of chess in the outside world. The chess soldiers that the disciples chose would fight each other in the four-sided chess world according to the requirements of the game. For example, if Bei Xiaoman moves the chess devil that represented Ning Fan during a game of chess, Ning Fan's position in the chess world would be moved according to the same command. If Bei Xiaoman wanted to use Ning Fan to eat other people's chess pieces, Ning Fan would fight against the chess soldier that represented the chess piece. If Ning Fan could defeat the chess soldier in the chess world, he would succeed in eating the chess piece. If Ning Fan was not the opponent's match, he would fail in eating the chess piece. Bei Xiaoman's chess skills were very good, but the strength of the chess soldiers was equally important. Otherwise, she would not be able to eat the chess pieces of the enemy and win. Usually, the battles between chess soldiers would not result in real death. This was because the four-sided chess world contained some kind of special power. Any chess soldiers who died in the chess world could be reborn in the outside world. In the battles between chess soldiers, not only did they have to compete with each other's cultivation base, but they also had to pay attention to their killing techniques. These techniques were the reasonable use of the chess world talisman. The chess world talisman was a kind of magical talisman. It only existed in the four-sided chess world, and it could only be used in the chess world. It could not be brought out of the outside world. There were a total of 3,000 types of chess world talisman, which corresponded to the number of great Tao in the heavenly cycle. Each of them had immeasurable power. If the chess world talisman is used well, a cultivator with a lower cultivation base could even defeat a cultivator with a higher cultivation base. Then here comes the question. What were the 3,000 types of chess world talisman? What were their effects? The chess soldiers of other clans had long memorized the types and effects of the 3,000 types of chess world talisman. However, they still felt that it was not enough. Ning Fan, on the other hand, could not even recognize all the names of the 3,000 types of chess world talisman. If it wasn't because his strength was far stronger than the other chess soldiers, he would definitely make his teammates cry if he participated in the competition with such an attitude. Forget it. I'll slowly study the chess world talisman when the second round begins. Right now, recovering my devil blood is more important. Ning Fan hung the token of the chess devil on his waist according to the rules of the second round. Then he began to search for a suitable place for seclusion in the four-sided chess world. The mountains and rivers in the four-sided chess world were arranged according to the layout of the 6-bow chessboard. The 4 corners of the chess world represented 4 camps which corresponded to the east, west, south and north palaces of the Lost World Palace. In fact, the Lost World Palace did not just consist of the 3 palaces. There used to be the Nangong Palace as well. However, due to some reasons, the Nangong Palace's bloodline was completely wiped out. It was a tragic event. This led to a result. Ever since the Nangong Palace was annihilated, the chess soldiers could only choose between the Eastern Army, the Northern Army and the Western Army in the second round of the competition. Ning Fan was a chess soldier of Bei Xiaoman. Naturally, he belonged to the Western Army. Before the second round officially begins, he could not wander around the chess world. He could only move around in the military camp of the Western Army. Otherwise, he would be deprived of his right to be a chess soldier. Although it was called a military camp, it actually covered a vast area. There were 30,000 immortal mountains in the military camp. Each of the mountains had a cave dwelling for the chess soldiers of the Western Army to rest. There were 10 shops. These shops were where the chess soldiers used their battle points to buy the chess world talismans. At the moment, the shops had not been opened yet. There were 800 armored soldiers of the Western Army patrolling the area. All of them were nascent Soul Realm stone puppets. As soon as Ning Fan entered the military camp of the Western Army, a nascent Soul Realm puppet immediately walked towards him and asked with an expressionless face, "You are the 22nd chess soldier of the Western Army to enter this world in advance. Entering this world in advance is already against the rules. You must not cause any more trouble here. Otherwise, you will be deprived of your right to be a chess soldier and be expelled from this world. It will be too late for regrets." Understood. Ning Fan nodded his head. He was not angered by the arrogant tone of the nascent Soul Realm Stone Soldier. These patrolling nascent Soul Realm Stone Soldiers had low spiritual intelligence. They would speak arrogantly to everyone. They would not change their tone just because someone's cultivation base was higher than theirs. Even though their cultivation base was low, these nascent Soul Realm Stone Soldiers seemed to be like the rulers of the chess world. They had supreme authority. Even an ancient immortal venerable might be chased out of this world if he offended these stone soldiers. The flow of time in this world is 1/10,000th of that of the outside world. Based on the time in this world, there are still 48,576 days before the second round begins. Before that, you can choose a cave abode to rest in. Once you have chosen a cave abode, you cannot change it. Before the second round ends, you cannot leave on your own. Otherwise, you will be deprived of your right to be a chess soldier. If you have any doubts, you can look for any of the patrolling soldiers here. There will be someone who will answer your questions. The patrolling soldier continued. I understand. Ning Fan no longer talked nonsense with the patrolling soldier. He immediately chose a cave abode and began his seclusion to repair the devil talisman. Before him, there were already 21 chess soldiers of the Western Army who entered this world in advance through the back door. After him, there would be others who would enter this world in advance. Obviously, Bei Xiaoman was not the only one who had the special authority. Another chess soldier has entered this world? I wonder which clan he belongs to. The chess soldiers of the Western Army who had entered this world in advance vaguely sensed Ning Fan's arrival. However, due to the restriction on spirit sense in the four-sided chess world, these people could not spread out their spirit sense to sense Ning Fan. Thus, they did not know who had entered this world. Repairing the devil talisman was destined to be a boring and long process. After Ning Fan came to the chess world, he did not go out for a single day. What he did every day was nothing more than staying in his cave abode, drinking some ancient devil blood wine, and using the power of the wine to repair the devil talisman. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. Ning Fan had finally repaired the devil talisman. All the ancient devil blood essence that he had lost had also been replenished. The grade of his ancestral blood finally began to rise rapidly. Unlike the hasty cultivation in the Green Lotus Sword clan, Ning Fan had a lot of time to slowly polish his ancestral blood in the four-sided chess world. Every time he cultivated a drop of ancestral blood, Ning Fan would spend several years to carefully integrate the ancestral blood into the devil talisman. The only troublesome thing was that there seemed to be a force in the chess world that hindered Ning Fan from concealing the phenomenon of his ancestral blood. As a result, Every time Ning Fan cultivated a drop of ancient devil ancestral blood, everyone would know about it. The expressions of all the chess soldiers changed, and they gathered together to discuss about it. Someone has cultivated the ancestral blood of the devil race in the southwestern cave abode. I wonder if he is a real ancient devil, or a fake ancient devil. He should be a fake ancient devil. Where can we find an ancient devil, or a devil ancestor during the Dharma ending era? Even if he is just a fake devil ancestor, he should be proud of himself, being able to cultivate a drop of fake devil ancestral blood. Even if he isn't an ancient immortal venerate, I'm afraid he is also an extremely powerful being among the true immortals. This was the discussion among the chess soldiers of the Western Army, when Ning Fan cultivated the first drop of ancient devil ancestral blood. In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. Ning Fan began to integrate the second drop of ancestral blood into the devil talisman. What? It has only been less than 2 years, and that person has actually cultivated another drop of ancestral blood. What exactly is his background? If that person is an immortal venerate devil cultivator, he must be an extremely powerful one. Amazing! Amazing! I admire him. Another few years passed, and Ning Fan began to integrate the third drop of ancestral blood. 3 drops already. That person has cultivated 3 drops of ancestral blood. 3 drops of ancestral devil blood. Among the devil cultivators of the Northern Heaven, that person can be ranked in the top 10. There's nothing we can do about it. Who asked the Northern Heaven to have so few devil cultivators? Could this person be an immortal king from somewhere? Amazing! Amazing! I admire him. A few years later, the 4th drop arrived. 4 drops already. That person actually managed to cultivate 4 drops of ancestral devil blood in a row. I must have seen a fake phenomenon. Among the devil cultivators of the Northern Heaven, this person is at least ranked in the top 5. He must be an immortal emperor. A few years later, the 5th drop, the 6th drop, the 7th drop, the 8th drop. The medicinal power of the ancient devil blood wine was just too massive. It was the blood wine that Taoist Nine Sword had spent his entire life collecting. It consumed a total of 300 drops of pseudo-ancient devil ancestral blood to brew. The more Ning Fan cultivated, the more ancestral blood he had. The discussions in the military camp of the Western Army also became fewer and fewer. After seeing the phenomenon of Ning Fan's ancestral blood, the chess soldiers of the Western Army were no longer surprised. They had already become numb to it. When Ning Fan condensed the 14th drop of ancestral blood, a few chess soldiers who were playing chess and drinking tea in boredom raised their heads and glanced at him. Then they lowered their heads and continued playing chess. The mirage in the Four Corners chess world is really a creation of heaven and earth. I almost believed that someone really managed to cultivate 14 drops of ancestral devil blood. Isn't it 13 drops? Isn't it 16 drops? Forget it. Who cares how many drops there are? Hurry up. It's time for you to leave. From the 7th level to the 8th level. 15 drops. 16 drops. Finally, the number of devil blood Ning Fan had was fixed at the 17th drop. In terms of the number of ancestral blood, even the 9 great devil ancestors who were suppressed in the ancient devil's abyss did not have as much as him. Of course, if it were those great ancient devils on the Devil Conferral Summit, there would be some who had stronger devil blood than Ning Fan. The cultivation of devil blood gets harder as I progress further. The amount of bloodline energy required to cultivate from the 17th to the 18th drop is enough for an ancient devil with royal bloodline to produce 3 drops of ancestral blood. If I didn't sacrifice 10 drops of ancestral blood, I might be able to produce the 19th drop of devil blood, or even the 20th drop. Ning Fan was just making a casual calculation. He did not regret sacrificing the 10 drops of ancestral blood. When Ning Fan only had 4 drops of ancestral blood, he could only draw the devil talisman 236 times, because he did not have enough ancestral blood to continue. Now that he had 17 drops of ancestral blood, he could finally continue drawing the devil talisman that he could not finish in the past. He had too many wood elemental insights that he wanted to inscribe into the devil talisman. He wanted to inscribe all the insights that he had gained when he suppressed water cultivators with the wood element. He wanted to inscribe the qualitative changes of water and wood into the Devil Talisman. However, all of these were not what he wanted to inscribe into the Devil Talisman. He was a persistent cultivator. His devil path was obstinate, and he did not have any regrets in the first place. Today, however, he wanted to inscribe a trace of regret into the Devil Talisman. A trace of regret. The number of strokes on the Devil Talisman increased. Ning Fan used all of those strokes to draw a green lotus that seemed to be smiling in the wind. In the past, Ning Fan only spent his life's insights and emotions to draw the Devil Talisman. This time, however, he wanted to inscribe all of his regrets in the past into the Devil Talisman. He wanted to inscribe that woman into his Devil Talisman. He wanted to remember that woman in his heart. This kind of regretful emotion might cause the Devil Talisman itself to be imperfect. However, he would rather keep this trace of imperfection than erase the green lotus from the Devil Talisman. 300 strokes. 400 strokes. 500 strokes. 506 strokes. Ning Fan's Devil Talisman strokes could no longer increase. He needed more ancestral blood to continue improving. The lines of the Devil Talisman swam on the surface of Ning Fan's body like tadpoles, making him look exceptionally demonic at this moment. If ordinary people see the Devil Talisman on Ning Fan's body, they would only feel an inexplicable chill in their hearts, but they would not understand the reason behind it. However, if an ancient devil sees such a Devil Talisman, he would certainly be intimidated by the might of the ancestral blood. If Ning Fan insists on intimidating them, an ancient devil with an ordinary bloodline would not even have the right to remain standing in front of him. The increase in the grade of his devil blood did not directly increase Ning Fan's cultivation base. Instead, it increased his control over his devil sense by more than 10 times. In the past, Ning Fan could not step into the second stage of the ancient devil atavism technique because he could not bear the devil sense of the second stage. Once he steps into the second stage, his rationality would certainly be devoured by the devil sense, and he would become a killing machine. Now, however, he had a trace of qualification to step into the second stage of the ancient devil atavism technique with a clear mind. Let me try and see if I can step into the second stage of the atavism technique. Ning Fan activated the first stage of the atavism technique. His entire body emitted the blood steam of blood absorption regeneration. He began to attempt to step into the second stage of the atavism technique. This stage required the use of the eternal ancient true body. Therefore, the eternal ancient true body automatically manifested and slowly changed its appearance along with the second stage of the atavism technique. From the appearance of a golden flame giant, he slowly turned into a golden armored tree devil. With Ning Fan's magic power of 17,000 tribulations, activating the golden flame true body could increase his cultivation base to 1,000 tribulation realm. Turning from the golden flame true body into a golden armored tree devil, Ning Fan's cultivation base once again increased to 1,000 tribulation realm. Now his magic power was almost comparable to a quasi-saint of 19,000 tribulation realm. This appearance of a golden armored tree devil is just like my second stage true body. This is the second stage true body that is triggered by the ancient devil atavism technique. It should be different from the ordinary second stage true body. In the past, Old Man Shui Yin used the second stage of the atavism technique and transformed into a devil tail. I don't seem to have succeeded in drawing out the power of that devil tail. Ning Fan's true body closed his devil eyes and concentrated his mind like never before. When he was concentrating his mind, he suddenly heard a voice calling out to him. That voice seemed to be coming from a very, very deep place. Ning Fan tried to find the source of the voice. Following the direction of the voice, his mind gradually sank into that unreachable place. After he closed his eyes, the world was clearly pitch black and he could not see anything. However, from that darkness, he saw an abyss that was darker than the darkness itself. That dark abyss seemed to be connected to Ning Fan's devil sense. That was why he could still see it even though it was separated by an endless amount of time and space. That abyss seemed to be sealed with countless devil creatures, waiting for the arrival of their prey. They were waiting for the day when they could escape from the devil abyss. Hee hee. Another ancient devil is here. Sink down. Quickly sink down. This is the devil slave that I've taken a fancy to. No one is allowed to snatch him from me. I hope he's someone who is decisive in killing. That devil slave last time was too useless. I just controlled him to kill his wife and daughter, and he went completely crazy. What a trash. This little fellow looks a little familiar. Oh? Old water freak. You know this little fellow? Among the devil creatures in the abyss, one of them who was called Old Water Freak, vaguely recognized Ning Fan. That Old Water Freak's chi gave Ning Fan an extremely familiar feeling. During the Battle of the Sovereign Heavenly Map, this person had once possessed the water-drowning Emperor's body, and fought against Ning Fan. He was the owner of the water-drowning Emperor's devil spirit. He was the person who mocked Ning Fan for not being qualified to be a devil. With your innate potential, you will attain the second stage of ancestral awakening sooner or later. At that time, you will naturally know who I am. Before that, I will be watching you from the bottom of the abyss, waiting for you to come. However, even if you come, we devil spirits will not accept you because you are not qualified to be a devil. You can forget about obtaining the true power of rampage in your life. Those were the words that this devil used to mock Ning Fan that day. It's you. Ning Fan obviously recognized this devil creature. So that's how it is. The abyss that I'm seeing now is the abyss that the water-drowning Emperor's devil sense fell into. The water-drowning Emperor had borrowed power from this abyss in exchange for his devil tail rampage. That devil tail rampage was the true power of the second stage of ancestral awakening. Get lost. Ant. Your devil sense is too weak. You are not qualified to be a devil at all. We devil spirits will never accept you. Old Water Freak snorted coldly, and suddenly let out a heaven-piercing devil roar. The power of his roar was like countless devil seas crashing towards Ning Fan, nearly drowning the devil sense that Ning Fan had fallen into. However, it was still slightly lacking. Ning Fan's devil sense did not get erased in the end. It was because the level of Ning Fan's devil sense was no longer the same as before. When Ning Fan first met Old Water Freak, he was just a devil ancestor with 4 bloodlines. Now he was the 17th blood devil ancestor. The level of his devil blood was countless times stronger than before. Impossible. How long has it been? How did his devil blood become so powerful? Old Water Freak was shocked. Then his sneer became even more intense. This young man must have borrowed some kind of opportunity to forcefully raise his devil power to this level. It's not worth mentioning. So what if you are the 17th blood devil ancestor? If it wasn't because my devil spirit was sealed, how could I not scare you away with my roar? Unfortunately, even if you can enter the abyss of the devil Tao, you still can't condense a devil tail without our help. It's impossible for you to reach the 3rd stage of ancestral awakening and borrow power from us who are at the 3rd step or above. That Old Water Freak seemed to have a very high standard. Ning Fan was obviously a terrifying ancient devil with 17 bloodlines, but he actually talked about him as if he was talking about trash. As soon as the other devil creatures heard Old Water Freak belittling Ning Fan, they immediately asked for the reason. After they found out that Ning Fan was actually a trash who did not deserve to be a devil, all of them lost interest in him. None of them wanted to take him as their devil slave anymore. The 5 innate spirits are gods, devils, demons, immortals, and ghosts. In the past, I thought that ancient devils were imitating the divine spirits. Now that I think about it again, it seems to be inaccurate. Instead of saying that the 2nd stage of ancestral awakening is a divine spirit, it's more like a devil spirit. This place seems to be an abyss of the devil Tao where the devil spirits are sealed. Its actual location isn't in the illusory dream world, but somewhere else. The reason why I can see this abyss is because of my devil sense which has entered the 2nd stage of ancestral awakening. Thus, I have a trace of connection with this place. The reason why the submerged water emperor could grow a devil tail and his cultivation base skyrocketed was because he became the devil slave of these devil spirits. He gave up his dignity in exchange for power. Ning Fan suddenly sneered in disdain. What he was disdainful of were the devil spirits of this place and the submerged water emperor, who served them as their master. If in the eyes of the devil spirits of this place, only the servile submerged water emperor deserved to be called a devil lord, then Ning Fan would rather never be qualified to be a devil. The devil Tao that he wanted to cultivate was definitely not these devil spirits in front of him. What he wanted to cultivate was the black devil Tao that was taught to him by the old devil. I told you to get lost. Didn't you hear me? That old water wanted to expel Ning Fan again. However, why would Ning Fan listen to him? He would not leave. He had no interest in the devil spirits of this place. However, he was interested in this abyss of the devil Tao. Ning Fan kept sending his devil sense down. He wanted to send it straight into the deepest part of the abyss of the devil Tao. Even the submerged water emperor and the others did not dare to do this because once they make a mistake, their devil sense would be suppressed in the abyss forever and be imprisoned together with the devil spirits of this place. What a reckless little fellow. Since you want to fall into this place and become one of us, then just fall into it. Fall. Quickly fall into it. Come and suffer the pain of purgatory with us. Strange. This young man doesn't seem to be an ordinary person. Why hasn't his devil sense been imprisoned by this abyss of the devil Tao? Wait. Why is there a ray of divine light hidden in this young man's devil sense? He's a goddamn divine spirit. He's actually an ancient divine spirit. Fuck. The devil spirits in the abyss seem to have noticed Ning Fan's identity as an ancient divine spirit. Thus, they became extremely excited. Those devil spirits began to curse and swear. The more they cursed, the uglier and uglier they became. Thus, Ning Fan directly shut off his spiritual sense and stopped listening to their nonsense. He sank his devil sense into the abyss of the devil Tao and tried to form a devil tail that belonged only to him with his own devil sense. He did not want any devil lord to reward him with a devil tail. He wanted to cultivate it by himself. Unfortunately, it was too difficult. Ning Fan had even used his comprehension ability of the second level of the heavenly being realm, but he only managed to condense a tail root. In order to truly cultivate the first devil tail that belonged to him, it seemed like he would need an endless amount of time. Haha, he's indeed trash. It's just wishful thinking to cultivate a devil tail with his own efforts. If he can cultivate a devil tail with his own strength, it would be equivalent to cultivating another identity of a devil spirit. Is this possible? Ha ha ha. This young man isn't even a saint, yet he's dreaming of doing something that even the Saint Defier realm can't do. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But it's still very strange. Even if this young man is a divine spirit, he shouldn't be able to endure it after sinking into the abyss of the devil Tao for so long. No. There's something wrong with this young man's physique. What kind of physique is this? Why haven't I seen it before? There seems to be 5 balls of spiritual chi protecting his devil sense. That's why he isn't afraid of this abyss of the devil Tao. All the devil spirits were astonished. Before these devil spirits were sealed, each of them was at least a third-step expert. Now, however, they were all shocked speechless by a junior like Ning Fan. Ning Fan shielded his spiritual sense. He was too lazy to listen to the nonsense of these devil spirits. Naturally, he did not know how many ancient existences he had shocked by not being afraid of the abyss of the devil Tao. He was just instinctively not afraid of the abyss of the devil Tao in this place. That was why he dared to directly send his devil sense into this place. As for why he was not afraid, Ning Fan also had no idea. However, when 5 balls of clear chi flew out of his devil sense, 4 of which were dark and 1 of which was bright, he seemed to have understood something. I see. It's my primordial spirit physique that is secretly protecting my devil sense. All of a sudden, Ning Fan had a bold idea. There were too many devil spirits' power in this abyss of the devil Tao. He wanted to try and see if he could use the primordial spirit physique to cultivate the bloodline of ancient devil spirits. Absorb. As Ning Fan gave his order, the ball of clear chi that belonged to the devil spirit among the 5 balls of clear chi began to absorb the devil spirit power of the abyss of the devil Tao at a crazy rate. The devil spirit's clear chi that was originally dim finally showed signs of becoming brighter. Impossible. What kind of physique does this kid have? He actually dares to devour the abyss of the devil Tao. Devil God. He wants to become a true devil god. Stop him. Quickly stop him. If the devil spirit power in this place dissipates, we will never be able to return. Let's attack together and chase him away. Inside the four-sided chess world, Ning Fan suddenly let out a devil roar. His black hair grew longer and longer. His second stage true body of the tree devil also began to turn extremely dark. It was the abyss of the devil Tao that was countless times darker than the darkness itself. Roar. Ning Fan let out a painful devil roar. That kind of pain was like giving birth to a new life. Then, the first devil tail of black flames finally grew out from his back. When the first devil tail of black flames grew out, Ning Fan's magic power skyrocketed by 3,000 tribulations, reaching 22,000 tribulations. He was losing more and more of his rationality, but the second devil tail was gradually growing out. When the second devil tail grew out, his magic power skyrocketed to 25,000 tribulations. Inside his body, the devil spirit bloodline was being created and born. This was the great opportunity that he had obtained by directly devouring the abyss of the devil Tao. The excessively violent magic power had exceeded the limit that Ning Fan could bear. The skin of Ning Fan's tree devil began to crack. Black-colored devil blood kept flowing out from the wounds. At this moment, Ning Fan's devil blood turned black. At this moment, Ning Fan had the tendency of condensing his third devil tail. If he can condense this devil tail, his magic power would increase by another 2,000 tribulations. Unfortunately, the third devil tail broke before it could be condensed. Someone was preventing him from devouring the abyss of the devil Tao. Those devil spirits that were sealed had attacked him together and chased him out of the abyss of the devil Tao. Damn it! I was so close to condensing my third tail. Ning Fan was unwilling to give up. He wanted to sink his devil sense into the abyss of the devil Tao again. Unfortunately, he could no longer do it. His arrogant act of devouring the abyss of the devil Tao had angered all the devil spirits in this world. He had become the public enemy of all devil spirits. He had become an absolute unregistered person in the abyss of the devil Tao. No one in the abyss of the devil Tao would take the initiative to contact him anymore. If he wanted to devour the abyss of the devil Tao again, he could only go to the true reincarnation coordinates of the abyss and fight his way there. Then he would seize it and plunder it. Of course, it was an unrealistic thing. Just a little bit more. What a pity. Ning Fan shook his head helplessly. He had no choice but to accept the fact that he only had second last. Even though he only had second last, he was still the one who benefited from it. Thus, even though he felt regretful, he could still let it go. In the end, he managed to forcefully cultivate the second stage of ancestral awakening, and he even reached the second stage. What was more precious was that he managed to cultivate a trace of devil spirit bloodline that belonged to him. Unfortunately, this trace of devil spirit bloodline did not reach the level of the crippled devil spirit body. If he could really cultivate it to the level of the crippled devil spirit body, he might be able to awaken some kind of devil spirit innate talent. After all, the myriad things communication was the ability he obtained when he cultivated the crippled divine spirit body. In this state, my magic power is even stronger than many second-level quasi-saints. Unfortunately, I can't maintain this state for long. In order to maintain this state, he needed to continuously burn the devil blood in his body in exchange for power. In the first stage of ancestral awakening, he would absorb the blood of his enemies. In the second stage, he would consume his own devil blood. In just less than 10 breaths of time, Ning Fan had already burned away 1/10 of his ancient devil blood essence. At this rate, he would only be able to maintain this state for 100 breaths of time. Then he would be done for. He had no choice but to remove the state in a hurry. Moreover, he would need to cultivate diligently to replenish his devil blood. After all, he had already drunk all the ancient devil blood wine. It would not be easy for him to replenish his devil blood. Fortunately, the state of second last would not consume his ancestral blood. Otherwise, it would be really difficult for him to recover if he accidentally burned the ancestral blood in his body. As for the second stage of ancestral awakening technique, I can't simply use it unless I'm in a life-or-death situation. With Ning Fan's current strength, even if he could not defeat a second-level quasi-saint, he did not need to risk his life. He could just leave calmly and the other party would not be able to stop him. Only when he faces ancient great cultivators, or multiple second-level quasi-saints, would he need to risk his life to escape. Ning Fan pondered for a long time. Suddenly he recalled something. He circulated his Genesis primordial spirit body, and released the 5 balls of clear qi. At this moment, the 5 balls of clear qi were no longer 4 dark and 1 bright. Although the clear qi that belonged to the devil spirit had not been completely lit up, it had lit up 1/5 of it. If the clear qi is completely lit up, it would mean that he had truly cultivated a devil spirit. At his current stage, he would at most possess a small amount of devil spirit bloodline. A 2-tailed devil spirit could only light up 1/5 of the devil spirit bloodline. From this point of view, he would at least need to cultivate a 10-tailed devil spirit before he could be considered to have truly cultivated the crippled devil spirit body. However, he did not know if there was any other way to cultivate a 10-tailed devil spirit after being rejected by the abyss of devil Tao. Not good. I forgot that this world can't conceal unusual phenomena. The trace of devil spirit bloodline that I have cultivated is highly likely to cause a monstrous phenomenon. Ning Fan thought to himself. If his devil spirit phenomenon is seen by others, wouldn't they know that he has cultivated a devil spirit body? Then he felt that he was worrying too much. It was unknown if there was anyone who could recognize the devil spirit phenomenon in the age of chaos. Even if there was, it was unlikely that they were the chess soldiers who were not even immortal emperors. Just as expected, the fact that Ning Fan had cultivated a small amount of devil spirit bloodline had indeed caused a terrifying phenomenon. It was the phenomenon of 10,000 devils paying homage to him. In the phenomenon, the shadow of the devil spirit that symbolized Ning Fan was sitting on a throne. Below the throne were the shadows of countless ancient devils prostrating themselves on the ground and worshipping him devoutly. Even a quasi-saint ancient devil, an ancient great cultivator, or an ancient devil. Even the shadows of saints and ancient devils were worshipping Ning Fan devoutly. Such a phenomenon was simply ridiculous and ridiculous. Those chess soldiers of the Western Army who had long become numb to the phenomenon did not even bother to look at it anymore. It was because the phenomenon was too fake. Saints were noble beings. Even when facing a 4th-step immortal sovereign, they would not kneel to him. How could it be possible for all the saints to kneel to welcome the arrival of 10,000 devils? Amazing! Amazing! I really admire you. This mirage is becoming more and more realistic. I almost believed it. Haha. Come. Let's drink. Why bother about it? It's just a mirage. Joyful laughter resounded in the Western Army's camp. This scene proved the old saying again. When a high-ranking officer hears the Tao, he practices diligently. When a middle-ranking officer hears the Tao, he either lives or dies. When a low-ranking officer hears the Tao, he laughs loudly. If he doesn't laugh, he won't be able to attain the Tao. Looking at the time, the second round is about to officially begin. Ning Fan walked out of his cave residence and summoned a patrolling stone soldier to him. He then asked him about the current time. In the chess world, there were less than 100 days before the start of the second round. If converted to the time in the outside world, it would be about the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. In order to recover my devil blood, I have forgotten about interrogating the female demon. Fine. After I help Xiaoman win the second round, I'll deal with this demon again. Chapter 1231. As the second round of the competition officially began, the number of chess soldiers in the 4-sided chess world began to increase. As he was in the chess world, Ning Fan did not know how grand the second round of the competition would be in the outside world. Presumably, the battle in the chess world would begin soon. All the disciples of the 3 palaces of the Lost World Palace were qualified to participate in the second round regardless of their cultivation base. Each of them had to register a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 36 chess soldiers and generals. As a result, there were more than 10,000 disciples of the 3 palaces participating in the competition, and more than 200,000 chess soldiers and generals had entered the 4-sided chess world. Even though there was a force-suppressing spirit sense in the four-sided chess world, it could not stop Ning Fan's reign technique. After all, Ning Fan had cultivated the reign pawn position and devoured a trace of the title of reign. It was naturally not difficult to know the number of chess soldiers participating in the competition. According to his senses, there were more than 50,000 chess soldiers and generals gathered in the military camp of the Western Army. As time passed, the number of chess soldiers and generals continued to increase. As a result, the military camp, which was initially empty, suddenly became lively. Many cultivators set up stalls and set up markets to trade the magic treasures and elixirs they needed in preparation for the upcoming battle. With Ning Fan's cultivation base and experience, he was not interested in the trade between low-grade cultivators. Thus, he did not pay attention to it at all. He only focused on consolidating the grade of his devil blood. One day, while Ning Fan was cultivating in his cave dwelling, a bright light suddenly flashed in front of him, and an immortal book was sent to him. As the second round began, all the chess soldiers and generals who participated in the competition received an immortal book, which was used to store chess world talismans. An immortal book could store up to 10,000 chess world talismans at most. At the beginning of the competition, each of them would be randomly given 3 basic talismans. This kind of talisman could only be used in the chess world. It was called chess world talisman by the common people. Any one of these talisman papers had great power. The 3 talisman papers that Ning Fan obtained were the immortal burning talisman, the devil increasing talisman, and the astronomical phenomenon changing talisman. Ning Fan looked at the 3 talisman papers and felt a headache. He could not remember the effects of these 3 talisman papers. He also did not know what effect they would have after he used them. He had no other choice but to ask them personally. "Tell me what they are for." Soon, Ning Fan found out the uses of the 3 talisman papers. After the immortal burning talisman was used, it could release a fire technique in the middle stage of shedding void to attack the enemy. If it was used against an enemy with the status of chess fairy, its power would be doubled. The demon increased talisman could only be used by cultivators with the identity of the chess demon. After using it, it could increase the cultivation level of the Duzhen cultivator by a small realm for a short period of time. The higher the cultivation level of the user, the weaker the effect of the talisman. The higher the user's cultivation base was, the weaker the talisman paper. The phenomenon-changing talisman paper could be used to. I am of the talisman papers. Of the talisman paper. In order to test the principle of the chess realm talisman, he had already used it before the battle began. The of the talisman paper, the talisman. The talisman. The phenomenon burning was of burning of talisman. The sky of the world. The talisman was burning talisman. Palace of heaven. Battle in heaven of the Celestman army. Heaven talisman stage of the god. After the devil increasing talisman was used, the clear sky of the West Army's military camp suddenly turned into the environment of devil clouds. The phenomenon lasted for 40 breaths. Then it disappeared. Ning Fan's ancient devil essence chi rose to more than 100 tribulations under the environment of the devil clouds. The phenomenon-changing talisman could be of some use. Unfortunately, it was used up. The shop that sells chess world talismans seems to be open. I wonder if I can buy some more. The strange phenomenon in the military camp could not be hidden from the other chess soldiers. Many experienced chess players were guessing if there was a fool who used up all the talismans as soon as he got them. I wonder which clan's chess soldier is the one who did such a stupid thing. I just walked out of my cave for a walk and happened to see something. It seems to be done by the chess devil of the 4th young mistress clan. The 4th young mistress is really pitiful. She actually invited such an idiot as a helper. Without the chess world talisman, he won't be able to protect himself in the chess battle. Look. That person is walking towards us. Ning Fan walked towards the shop. The experienced chess players in the surroundings immediately pointed at him and whispered to each other. Due to the isolation force inside the four-sided chess world, ordinary people could only vaguely recognize Ning Fan's silhouette. They could not see his face clearly. Therefore, they could only recognize him based on the chess devil's token hanging on his waist. From time to time, Some experienced chess players who had participated in the chess battle would laugh at Ning Fan's stupidity. When they saw Ning Fan walking towards the shop, a few busybodies could not stand it anymore. They reminded him, "Hey, little fellow. The chess battle has yet to begin. You don't have any battle points. Even if you enter the shop in the military camp, you won't be able to buy anything." Ning Fan's magic power was comparable to a quasi-saint realm expert. However, he was called a little fellow by a few cultivators of the Duzhen realm. "Thank you for reminding me." Ning Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, he did not care too much about such a trivial matter. He still entered one of the shops in the military camp. Inside the shop, 22 types of basic talismans were displayed for cultivators to purchase. The prices of the talismans ranged from 500 to 2,000 battle points. The shopkeeper of the shop was also a nascent soul realm stone soldier puppet. When he saw Ning Fan entering the shop, he did not welcome him at all. His attitude was extremely cold. "I don't have any battle points. Can I use my Dao crystal to buy these talismans?" Ning Fan asked. "No." The nascent soul realm puppet answered indifferently. "Can I use other things to exchange for them?" Ning Fan asked again. "No." The nascent soul realm puppet did not show any signs of impatience. It was as if there was nothing in the world that could trigger its emotions. "I can only use my battle points to buy talismans, huh? I understand now." Ning Fan walked out of the shop and entered the second one. The second shop displayed 14 types of basic talismans. The types of talismans were different from the first shop. Ning Fan then looked at the other shops. Each of them only sold 10 to 20 types of talismans. Didn't they say that there are 3,000 types of talismans in the chess world? All the shops here seem to have only sold around 100 types of talismans. Why is that? Ning Fan asked the shopkeeper of one of the shops. The shops in the military camp only sell low-grade talismans. Mid-grade talismans can only be obtained through synthesis and fortuitous encounters. High-grade talismans can only be obtained through synthesis. One of the stone soldier puppets answered. "Ha, synthesis? In that case, I seem to have heard about the specific rules of synthesis from Xiaoman." Ning Fan tried his best to search through his memories. "Little Fan, from now on, I will teach you the rules of the chess world talismans. 1 minor immortal speed talisman, 2 demon sense talismans and 1 great devil body talisman can be synthesized into a mid-grade immortal speed talisman. 2 immortal burning talismans and 4 blood return talismans can be synthesized into a blood-sucking talisman. This talisman can be used 3 times. Don't ever forget this." Also, Xiaoman did explain a lot of rules of synthesis. However, because the rules were too complicated, Ning Fan was too lazy to remember them. What was he doing at that time? Oh, that's right. He was admiring Bei Xiaoman's face when she explained the rules seriously. He felt that this little girl's serious expression was very cute. It's really troublesome. Originally, Ning Fan was slightly interested in the principles behind the formation of the chess world talismans. Now his interest was completely gone. The rules and whatnot were too troublesome. In short, I just have to defeat all my enemies. At the same time, in the Eastern Army camp, 6 beast-like and human-like cultivators appeared in the Eastern Army's barracks. When the soldiers of the Eastern Army saw these people, they were all shocked and started discussing among themselves. They are members of the Realm Beast clan. Didn't the Realm Beast clan say that they are not interested in the second round of the chess battle? Why are they here as well? Do you even need to ask? They must have been invited by our Great Elder. Only our Great Elder can interact with the Realm Beast clan, which has a strange temperament. I really don't know how he managed to gain their favor. Those few old monsters of the Realm Beast clan seem to be at the immortal venerable realm in the past. They are too strong. Our Great Elder has just abandoned his cultivation base. How did he manage to invite the immortal venerable realm in the past? There seems to be an inside story behind this. Hiss. Impossible. What are those few Realm Beast immortal venerables trying to do? The chess battle has yet to begin, but they actually want to leave the army camp in advance. As the chess battle had yet to begin, there was a faint golden light barrier outside the Eastern Army camp. Even ordinary immortal emperors would not be able to leave the army camp while facing the light barrier. However, these few realm beast immortal venerables just needed to use their divine ability, and they directly traversed through space and appeared outside the army camp. After a few more flashes, their figures disappeared among the boundless mountains and seas, nowhere to be found. Cough cough, this old man might have seen wrongly. No matter how strong they are, it is impossible for them to leave the army camp in advance. One of the soldiers of the Eastern Army tried to explain. You're right. You're right. This must be a type of shadow in the chess world. Every time the Four Corners chess world opens, many strange things will happen. It's not surprising at all. Ning Fan originally planned to return to his cave residence to rest. However, all of a sudden he sensed his rain technique vaguely. It seemed like a few chess soldiers of the Eastern Army had left the army camp in advance. Even though Ning Fan could resist the interference of the chess world to release the rain technique, he would still be affected by it. If he was too far away, his senses would also become blurry. Interesting. There are actually people who can leave the army camp in advance. The chi of those few people is quite familiar. They seem to be realm beasts. Ning Fan did not have a good impression of the realm beast clan. Thus, he followed closely behind them and left the army camp. He wanted to see what those realm beasts were plotting. Whatever they were plotting was what he wanted to destroy. Since he had nothing to do, he might as well find something to do. With Ning Fan's cultivation base, if he wants to leave the army camp, ordinary people would not be able to sense him. Only a few chess soldiers of the Western Army heard a loud bang. When they raised their heads to take a look, they realized that there was a huge hole in the light screen of the army camp for some reason. However, the hole quickly healed. Strange things happen every year. There are especially many this year. Let's drink up. We must have seen wrongly. In the battlefield of the chess world, the terrain was ever-changing. You might think that you are moving in a straight line, but you might just be walking in circles. At this moment, the few realm beasts immortal venerables had encountered such a situation. It was already their fourth time walking back to a certain misty mountain. Humph! This Four Corners chess world is indeed extraordinary. With our cultivation bases, we actually can't tell the direction at all. Among the 6 of them, thunder-robed immortal venerables from the Thunder Rush world said with a grim expression. Then use your secret technique to sense it. The elderly immortal venerables from the Eastern Realm ordered. Let me do it. Realm Sense Technique. The red-faced immortal venerables from the Fire world suddenly released their spirit sense, and strangely became one with the heaven and earth of this world. This was the secret technique of the Realm Beast clan. It allowed them to merge their spirit sense into the world, and sense the situation of the entire world. However, this time, the secret technique which had always been successful actually failed. The red-faced immortal venerables suddenly coughed out a mouthful of blood. The spirit sense that he merged with the Four Corners chess world was completely shattered. What happened? The immortal venerables asked in shock. It failed. There is a trace of the spirit sense of an immortal country hidden in this world. It cannot be trespassed. The immortal venerables who used the technique said with hatred. Did you plant the coordinates of the realm sense to lock onto the location of the Southern Army camp? At the moment when the spirit sense was shattered, I planted some. Alright. Let's follow the coordinates of the realm sense, and advance towards the Southern Army camp. The eyes of the realm beast immortal venerables were actually looking at the Southern Army camp, which had been abandoned for countless years. The immortal venerables helped the injured immortal venerables to suppress their injuries, and continued their journey. After a long time, a bright light suddenly flashed in this desolate place. Ning Fan's figure appeared. The Southern Army? With a flash, Ning Fan disappeared on the spot, and chased after them again. The Lost World Palace originally had 4 palaces. However, due to some reasons, the Nangong bloodline had completely disappeared in the long river of history. When the Realm Beast Immortal Venerables arrived at the Southern Army camp, what they saw was a scene of ruins everywhere. What exactly did the old ancestor send us here to find? This place should have been plundered countless times. It's impossible for there to be any treasures left. The red-faced immortal venerables asked in confusion. We're not looking for treasures. We're looking for people. The elderly immortal venerables answered. Looking for people? The Nangong Palace has already been destroyed. There are no chess soldiers in the southern army camp. Who are we looking for? The thunder-robed immortal venerables asked. Wangji. The elderly immortal venerable's words were shocking. Everyone turned pale with fright when they heard his words. Isn't that Wangji a legendary figure? Could it be that the ancient legend of the Lank clan in the Stone Room Mountain is actually true? Does Wangji really exist? If he really exists, it's impossible that the Lost World Palace doesn't know about him. Silence. The elderly immortal venerables shouted in displeasure. Seeing that everyone had quietened down, he continued to explain. All of you should have heard that the old ancestor sneaked into this place 4 million years ago and was severely injured. Isn't that just a rumor? The others asked in confusion. Rumor? Haha, that's just a story to deceive people. The old ancestor was indeed injured. The person who injured him was a weirdo who called himself Wangji. The old ancestor is a second-stage quasi-saint. This person could even injure the old ancestor. Could it be that he's an ancient great cultivator? The crowd was shocked. Most likely. What should we do? That person could even injure the old ancestor. Aren't we just seeking death by coming here to find him? Don't be afraid. The old ancestor said that the person has a strange character, but he's not a bloodthirsty person. Otherwise, the old ancestor wouldn't have just been severely injured. At the very least, his cultivation would have dropped. According to the old ancestor, he met that weirdo in the vicinity of the Southern Army's military camp. Things have changed with the passage of time. We don't know if that person is still here. If he is, we need to find this person, and so on and so forth. Before the elderly immortal venerables could finish his words, they suddenly heard a sigh of vicissitudes in the air. It was as if the will of the heavens was suppressing and had an unparalleled might. The moment the sigh resounded, all the trees within a radius of 10,000 li were cut in half, as if they were chopped down by the Tao intent of the owner of the sigh. This person's Tao intent was like an invisible axe that could chop down all the trees in the world. The realm beast immortal venerables were immediately bewildered. They looked around for the source of the sigh, but couldn't find it. They suddenly turned around and found out that a white-haired old man dressed like a woodcutter had appeared behind them. Are you looking for something? The old woodcutter said with a distressed expression. Could this person be that weirdo Wangji? The realm beast immortal venerables were shocked. Oh, this old man knows. You must be like this old man, having lost your beloved axes. Did you lose this golden axe or this silver axe? The old woodcutter waved his hands and 2 axes, 1 gold and 1 silver, appeared in each of his hands. Be it the golden axe or the silver axe, they were both innate middle-grade magic treasures. The realm beast immortal venerables felt their breathing stagnate. Especially the elderly immortal venerables, they were so nervous that they were sweating. This was the problem. When the old ancestor met this weirdo, he was also asked the same question. At that time, the old ancestor didn't know how powerful this weirdo was. Seeing that he had 2 innate middle-grade magic treasures, he tried to snatch them but was defeated by this weirdo. The gold and silver axes were extremely powerful. The old ancestor was injured by these axes for more than 4 million years, but the wound still couldn't heal and was still bleeding. The injury caused by these axes was too difficult to heal. The reason why the realm beast immortal venerables came here was not because of the Eastern Palace Great Elder, but to ask for medicine to heal the old ancestor's injury. If it was the owner of the gold and silver axes, there might be a way to solve the injury caused by these axes. Senior, please allow us to report. The reason why we came here is to ask Senior for a way to cure the injuries of the gold and silver axes. What happened in the past was due to my old ancestor's recklessness. I hope that Senior can forgive us and cure him. As long as Senior shows mercy, the Realm Beast clan is willing to offer 10 immortal venerables Tao fruits and 10 trillion Tao crystals. The elderly immortal venerables rambled on and took out many gifts, trying to please the old woodcutter. The old woodcutter, on the other hand, just frowned and felt sorry for himself. He was too lazy to listen to any nonsense, and did not even bother to look at the gifts that were piled up like a mountain in front of him. What? Aren't you guys here to look for the axes? How boring. Sigh. If only I wasn't obsessed with that immortal chess in the past. Why can't I control my eyes? The old woodcutter kept the axes and suddenly raised his head. He looked at a place in the sky where there was no one around and asked, "Little friend, why don't you show yourself?" When Ning Fan heard his words, he showed himself and looked at the old woodcutter with an extremely solemn expression. This old woodcutter was actually a great cultivator from ancient times. Ning Fan had never thought that there would be an ancient great cultivator hiding in this place. Could this person be an old ancestor-level figure of the Lost World Palace? What made Ning Fan more fearful was that the Tao sense of this old woodcutter greatly suppressed his wood element power. If they really fight, his wood element would suffer a great loss. "Senior, are you from the Lost World Palace?" Ning Fan landed on the ground and asked. All the venerables of the myriad realms were shocked and enraged. They had never thought that they would be secretly followed by Ning Fan. Lost World Palace? What's that? The old woodcutter's face was filled with bewilderment. May I know which sex Senior is from in Northern Heaven? Ning Fan was slightly surprised and asked again. Northern Heaven? What's that? The old woodcutter's face was still filled with bewilderment. Ning Fan was even more surprised. This person seemed to know nothing about the Lost World Palace, or the existence of Northern Heaven. His ignorant and ill-informed look did not seem to be an act at all. Where are you from, Senior? Xenan County Dongping Village. Are these the names of the places of the true world? What's the true world? The old woodcutter's face was filled with bewilderment. He was like a blank piece of paper that knew nothing about cultivation. Ning Fan wore a thoughtful expression, as if he was thinking about the old woodcutter's background. Even though this person's cultivation base was extremely high, he was different from everyone Ning Fan had met in the past. This person did not fit in with the cultivation world at all. He did not look like a cultivator at all. He was more like a mortal who obtained a supreme cultivation base by chance. Moreover, Ning Fan could not feel any schemes or hostility towards the outside world from this person. May I ask if little friend has seen this old man's iron axe? This old man has lost his iron axe. No, Ning Fan answered. Sigh. Forget it then. I'll go to other places to look for my axe. The old woodcutter became even more disappointed. He no longer cared about Ning Fan. With a flash, his figure disappeared without a trace. Wait. Senior, please wait. The myriad realm beast venerables were enraged. They had spent a lot of effort to find the king corpse that their old ancestor requested. However, Ning Fan had ruined their plan. Thus, all of their anger was instantly directed at Ning Fan. Who are you? Why did you follow us here? Could it be that you want to become enemies with our realm beast race? The myriad realm beast venerables shouted angrily. They could only blame Ning Fan's chi for being too reserved under the cover of the cloud chi. These people could not see how terrifying he was at all. However, these realm beast venerables blindly believed in their own senses. Since they could not sense how terrifying Ning Fan was, they thought that Ning Fan must be an insignificant junior who was good at hiding but had a low cultivation base. When they looked at Ning Fan's waist token again, they realized that he was just a chess devil invited by Bei Xiaoman. Thus, they did not put him in their eyes anymore. What was Bei Xiaoman's cultivation base? She was just a junior of the Lost World Palace. What chess devil could this woman invite? There was nothing to worry about. So what if we become enemies? Ning Fan said indifferently, You're courting death. Immediately, one of the realm beast venerables flew into a rage and used the realm palm technique at Ning Fan. A palm imprint formed by the power of the realm descended from the sky and slammed down on Ning Fan. That palm imprint was the furious attack of an ancient immortal venerable. It had the power to destroy heaven and earth. However, Ning Fan did not even bother to dodge it. He directly swallowed the palm imprint with his devil mouth. How is this possible? All the realm beast venerables were shocked. At this moment, how could they not see Ning Fan's strength? Unfortunately, they could not run away. Ning Fan stretched out his devil palm, which seemed to be able to cover the entire sky. No matter how those realm beast venerables tried to escape, they were still within the range of Ning Fan's palm, and were easily caught by him. Quasi-saint. This man must be a quasi-saint. Otherwise, how could we not have the power to fight back? All the realm beast venerables were nearly scared out of their wits. However, they quickly calmed down. It was because no one could be killed in the Four Corners chess world. Those who are killed would be protected by the Four Corners chess world, and could directly be reborn in the outside world. Ning Fan, of course, also sensed this. In this Four Corners chess world, there was an invisible force that protected the chess soldiers who participated in the battle. But so what? Ning Fan clenched his devil palm and crushed the physical bodies of the immortal venerables. Then, he threw their primordial spirits into the divine refining cauldron and refined them to death one by one. The Four Corners chess world might stop him from killing people with ordinary means. However, if he kills people with divine means, even the Four Corners chess world would not be able to stop him. It was just killing a few realm beast venerables. Ning Fan did not care about it at all. What he cared about was that old woodcutter. Who exactly is that great cultivator called Wangji? After killing the 6 realm beast immortal venerables, Ning Fan obtained a total of 18 elementary chess world talismans and 6,000 battle points. However, he was no longer interested in the chess world talismans and battle points at the moment. Ning Fan casually swallowed the 10 immortal venerables Dao fruits that the realm beast immortal venerables brought by the realm beast immortal venerables, and returned to his cave dwelling with his spoils of war. Then he went to refine the immortal venerables Dao fruits. A few days ago, an immortal mountain that had been submerged in the sea for 1,000 years suddenly rose from the bottom of the time sea. Today, this mountain had become the battlefield for the second round of competition between the disciples of the 3 palaces. This mountain was called the Stone Chamber Mountain. It was the holy land in the eyes of all the chess experts in the northern heaven. It was also the place where the second round of competition of the Lost World Palace would be held. It would only surface once every 1,000 years. The reason why this mountain was famous was because of a primordial legend. It was said that in the primordial era, there was a mortal woodcutter called Wangji who mistakenly entered the Stone Chamber Mountain. By chance, he saw a few immortals playing chess. Wangji was watching the game at the side. He was too engrossed in the game that he actually stood there and watched for a long time. When the game ended and he left the Stone Chamber Mountain, he realized that 100 years had already passed in the outside world. There was not a single old friend left in the mortal world. To mortals, a game of chess played by immortals for 100 years might be considered as an anecdote. However, to immortal cultivators, it was actually not a shocking matter. However, in the hearts of the chess experts of the future generations, the Stone Chamber Mountain still had a very important meaning. After all, this mountain was the place where the dignified immortal cultivators of the ancient times played chess. 1,000 years was easy to pass, but it was hard to turn back time. The immortal cultivators of the ancient times had already left, leaving an empty mountain for the future generations to remember. Countless chess experts of the northern heaven gathered in this place, just to admire the Stone Chamber Mountain, that only surfaced once every 1,000 years. As the palace lord of the Lost World Palace, Yuan Yao was so busy that she felt dizzy. She had to receive too many distinguished guests. Occasionally, she would find some free time and glance at the progress of the game between her 4 daughters. Obviously, she was still very concerned about her daughter's results in the second round. It was perfectly normal for her to look forward to her daughter's success. Every mother hoped that their daughters could be outstanding. The second round of the competition was not a competition of fighting skills, but the chess skills of the disciples of the 3 palaces. The scene of tens of thousands of chess players playing chess at the same time and killing each other in pairs was quite shocking. As the competition officially began, the disciples of the 3 palaces were assigned their opponents to determine the winner on the chessboard. Bei Xiaoman's first game had also begun. Coincidentally, her first opponent was the personal disciple of the great elder of the Eastern Palace, Eugene. This Eugene was born with a cold face, as if nothing in the world could cause any fluctuation in his emotions. The way he looked at Bei Xiaoman had a kind of condescension that came from his bones. His master looked down on the palace lord of the Lost World Palace, Yuan Yao, and he also looked down on Yuan Yao's 4 daughters. You are not my opponent. I heard that your chess skills are not bad. Unfortunately, in the face of absolute chess soldiers, your chess skills are useless. Eugene said proudly. Damn it. I heard that your master found a way to invite the immortal venerable of the Realm Beast clan to be his chess soldier. Bei Xiaoman gritted her teeth in anger. The disciples of the 3 palaces were just playing chess, but they actually invited the immortal venerable of the Realm Beast clan to be their chess soldier. Moreover, there were a total of 10,000 disciples in the 3 palaces. How low was the probability of her drawing her opponent in the first round to be the personal disciple of the Great Elder? No matter how she looked at it, it did not seem like a coincidence. It was more like the Great Elder did it on purpose. Bei Xiaoman knew her limits. Her chess skills were not bad, but it would be very difficult for her to defeat a group of immortal venerables with her chess soldiers of Duzhen and Shikong. Difficult. It's too difficult. However, no matter how difficult it was, she must not lose this game. Because Ning Fan was in her chess soldiers. If Ning Fan is killed by the enemy, even if he could be reborn in the outside world, he would certainly suffer some injuries. Ning Fan's brain was already muddled because of his illness. How could he let his illness worsen? My luck is really good. I made the first move. Eugene won the first move by throwing the tokens. Bei Xiaoman became even more furious. She had played countless games. How could she not see that Eugene's copper tokens were tampered with? That was why she could gain the first move. Do you need to be so despicable? Do you need to be so shameless? You already have a group of immortal venerables chess soldiers, but you still cheated. You really live up to the old saying, a tree without its bark will definitely die. A man who is shameless is invincible under the heavens. Then, I won't be polite anymore. Immortal 5 to 10. As soon as the game started, Eugene wanted to directly send his chess piece into Bei Xiaoman's formation and forcefully exchange the chess piece with her, who asked his chess soldiers to be so powerful. This method of exchanging chess pieces was just too suitable for him. He had absolute confidence in eating the right chess piece. It was almost impossible for his opponent to eat his chess piece. This move was a sure win. However, an accident happened. Before Eugene could move the chess piece with the word immortal, it suddenly shattered into pieces. At the same time, the 5 chess pieces on the chessboard, God, Devil, Demon, Ghost and Spirit were also crushed. It was fine if the ordinary chess pieces were crushed. If the Spirit General chess pieces were crushed, the game would be decided as a loss. Winner Bei Xiaoman. Just 20 breaths after the game started, Bei Xiaoman won the game with lightning speed. Her victory was so inexplicable that no one could understand it. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. How could I lose? Master had invited so many immortal venerable chess soldiers and chess generals for me. Eugene suffered a huge blow. He could not accept the scene in front of him. Strange. The game has just started. Why did all his chess soldiers die? Also, why didn't his chess soldiers reincarnate into the outside world after they died? Many of the audience expressed their confusion. It must be that strange man Wang Ji who killed them. Among the audience, a few realm beasts who knew the inside story were shocked. How could they not know that a few of their immortal venerables had died? This debt was directly placed on the strange man Wang Ji's head. I actually won the first game without doing anything. Bei Xiaoman laughed like a pig. She did not have much hope in winning the first game. She did not expect to win the game without doing anything. She was so lucky. After winning the first game without doing anything, Bei Xiaoman took a short break and started the second game. Her opponent in the second game was the disciple of the Northern Palace, Fan Shiping. He was an old man with white hair. Although he looked very old, he was actually only a few 100,000 years old, and had the cultivation of a life immortal. Although his cultivation was not high, he had been obsessed with the Tao of chess all his life. His chess skills were superb. Therefore, he was quite famous among the chess experts of the Northern Sky. When she saw that her opponent for the second game was Fan Shiping, Bei Xiaoman could not stay calm anymore. This person's chess skills could at least be ranked in the top 50 of the Northern Sky. Why were all her opponents so powerful? As expected, the Grand Elder had tampered with the position that she had drawn. He was hoping that she would lose as soon as possible. Fourth young lady, our chess skills and chess skills are on par with each other. Today, we should be able to enjoy ourselves to the fullest. Fan Shiping was overjoyed that he had met his match. He was a chess fanatic. He was indifferent to the internal strife of the sect. He was only happy that he had met a strong opponent like Bei Xiaoman. However, Bei Xiaoman was not happy at all. If she met a weaker opponent, she had her own ways to win without using her chess devil. However, her opponent was a chess expert like Fan Shiping. It was too difficult to use 5 chess pieces to win against 6 chess pieces. There's no need to throw your chips. Let fourth young lady make the first move. Fan Shiping was very magnanimous and gave her the first move. Thank you. It was rare for Bei Xiaoman to be polite. She placed the 6 chess pieces on the 6 games board. The chess devil was supposed to be the main force of the battle. However, Bei Xiaoman placed it in the middle of the formation instead of the front. Oh, this is the first time I've seen such a formation. Fan Shiping was slightly surprised and also set up a formation. He initially thought that Bei Xiaoman was using some kind of ancient chess manual. That was why the formation was so strange. However, once they exchanged moves, he saw through it. Strange. Fourth young lady did not move the chess devil at all. Why is that? Could it be that the chess devil is hiding some kind of divine skill? It's not the right time to move it yet. Fan Shiping was puzzled. When others played chess, they would risk their lives to protect their spirit generals. However, Bei Xiaoman was different. She would rather sacrifice her spirit generals in order to protect the chess devil in several crucial moves. Fan Shiping frowned. He had never encountered such a situation before. He could not understand Bei Xiaoman's chess strategy at all. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that Bei Xiaoman's chess devil was full of danger. No, I must get rid of this chess devil and guard against fourth young lady's backup plan. Otherwise there will be too many variables in this game. Then, an even more magical scene appeared. Bei Xiaoman would rather sacrifice her spirit generals to protect the chess devil. Fan Shiping would rather give up the perfect opportunity to attack the spirit generals to attack Bei Xiaoman's chess devil. Has this old man gone mad? I've already taken the initiative to admit defeat, and let him eat my spirit generals. Why does he have to eat my little Fan? Bei Xiaoman was furious. Wonderful. Wonderful. Fourth young lady's chess devil must have something to it. This devil must be related to the outcome of the game. That's why it caused the two of them to fight to the death. Sounds of praise and admiration could be heard from the surroundings. Everyone was attracted by the unprecedented chess strategy. Damn it. Damn it. Since you want to eat my little Fan, I'll let all the chess soldiers and generals protect him together. Bei Xiaoman decided to stake everything on one throw. The outcome of the game was no longer important. Whoever dares to eat my little Fan, I will risk my life to fight him. In the four-sided chess world, Ning Fan felt extremely bored. The flow of time in the four-sided chess world was 10,000 times faster than the outside world. More than 200 days had passed since he killed world beast Immortal Venerable. So many days had passed. Logically speaking, the second round of the chess battle should have already begun. However, he still did not get to see the so-called battle. It was because Bei Xiaoman did not use him at all. She only placed him on a devil mountain, using the devil chi to nourish her body and guard the place. No enemies were teleported to his side. He also did not receive Bei Xiaoman's order to teleport to the enemies to kill their chess soldiers. Just as he was feeling bored, a ray of light suddenly teleported to his location. It was the person Fan Shiping sent to attack him. It was an early Duzhen chess soldier with the word ghost on his face. Is the opponent a chess devil? That chess soldier with the word ghost looked extremely arrogant. He had participated in more than 40 chess battles. He had rich experience in using chess talismans. As soon as he saw that the enemy was a chess devil, he flipped open his immortal book in an experienced manner and took out a weak devil talisman. As soon as this talisman was activated, the enemy's Duzhen fell by 2 levels. The higher the opponent's cultivation base, the weaker the effect of this talisman would be. Swoosh swoosh. The chess ghost took out 2 more talismans in a row. Violent Ghost Talisman. Ghost Head Saber Talisman. The Violent Ghost Talisman could greatly increase his cultivation base. The Ghost Head Saber Talisman was an equipment talisman. It could summon a 12 Nirvana Hotian Ghost Head Saber to be used in a battle. Seeing that he had used 3 talismans in a row, Ning Fan had yet to take out his immortal book. How could the chess ghost not know that Ning Fan was a newbie? Weak to weak. This kid doesn't even know how to use talismans. I'm afraid he won't be able to withstand a single attack from me. Slash. The chess ghost wielded the ghost head saber and slashed down from the sky. The power of a single attack was enough to defeat the sky-rending chess devil. This was the difference between a veteran and a newbie. If Ning Fan only had the cultivation base of sky-rending chess devil, he probably wouldn't be able to defeat this veteran chess ghost. Obviously, the opponent still had a bunch of trump cards that he had yet to use. Unfortunately, Ning Fan wasn't sky-rending chess devil. Ning Fan casually lifted his finger and shot out a red light, turning the chess ghost into ashes. He did not kill the chess ghost. The chess ghost was successfully reborn in the outside world. His face was filled with indescribable fear. It's fake, right? What kind of cultivation base is that? I have a whole body of talismans, but I can't even resist it. The battle inside the chessboard was just a blink of an eye to the outside world. Fan Shiping was a cunning old fox. After circling around for a few times, the chess ghost suddenly appeared in the center of Bei Xiaoman's army and launched an attack at the chess devil. I'll take down this move, Fan Shiping said with a smile. But soon he couldn't smile anymore. The chess ghost that he sent to attack the chess devil was shattered with a cracking sound. I'm going to faint. He failed to eat the chess pieces and was killed instead. It was actually a counterattack. His chess ghost didn't even have the time to use the talisman to escape. Ha! Bei Xiaoman was puzzled. Her little Fan was clearly attacked. Why didn't he eat the chess pieces? Could it be that the opponent's ghost spirit was 1,000 times, 10,000 times weaker than her little Fan? Bei Xiaoman heaved a sigh of relief. But soon, she miscalculated again. She fell into Fan Shiping's trap again. Fan Shiping successfully bypassed her trap and launched another attack at the chess devil that was represented by Ning Fan. This time it was Fan Shiping's chess ghost that attacked Ning Fan. Then Fan Shiping's chess ghost was killed instead. Then Fan Shiping used his chess ghost to attack Ning Fan. Then the chess ghost was killed instead. Fan Shiping, who lost 3 chess pieces in a row, fell into a disadvantageous position. He was shocked and wanted to use a strategy to make up for his disadvantage. But at this moment, something strange happened. Both sides did not move any chess pieces. However, Fan Shiping's remaining 3 chess pieces exploded without any warning. Winner Bei Xiaoman. He won without doing anything again. How could this be? Fan Shiping coughed out blood and fell to the ground. He had put in a lot of effort in this round, but he did not expect that his spirit general would explode for no reason. Strange. Why did I win again? Why did that old man's spirit general explode by itself? Bei Xiaoman was dumbfounded. Winning without doing anything could be explained by luck. Winning without doing anything twice in a row was just too strange. Chapter 1232. Bei Xiaoman's second victory was obviously Ning Fan's doing. Ordinary chess soldiers were limited by their cultivation base. They could not break free from the restriction of the four-sided chess world. However, to Ning Fan, this level of restriction was useless. He was not a chess piece that could be manipulated by others. He could ignore the rules of the game at any time and attack and move freely. His cultivation base was too high. This also led to a result. The battle between the chess soldiers of the four-sided chess world could not attract his attention. No matter how many enemies there were and how skillfully they used the chess world talismans, they still could not withstand his tribulation flash. In the beginning, Ning Fan could still sit on the spot and wait for the enemy's chess soldiers to attack him. Then he would kill them one by one. Later on, he completely lost interest in the game. He simply ignored the restrictions of the four-sided chess world and took the initiative to attack. He easily found all of the enemy's chess soldiers and destroyed them one by one with a flick of his finger. The only thing that I am concerned about in this world is that Wang Ji. Ning Fan's expression turned grim when he thought of the old woodcutter. It was not only because the old woodcutter was an ancient great cultivator. It was also because he had a metal elemental power that greatly restrained him. Among the 5 elements, metal restrained wood. Without a doubt, that old woodcutter was a metal elemental cultivator. Moreover, his metal elemental power was extremely powerful. It could actually suppress Ning Fan's wood elemental power. One should know that Ning Fan's wood elemental power was at the level of a divine lattice. Even if the old woodcutter was a master of the metal element and a title, he should not be able to threaten Ning Fan to such a degree. Then there was only one explanation. The old woodcutter's metal elemental power was higher than that of a master of the metal element and a title. It might be the origin of the Tao or even higher. While Ning Fan was pondering, the voice of the Antlord suddenly resounded in his sea of consciousness. That Wang Ji has extremely deep karma. You better not provoke him. It was actually the Antlord's reminder. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with surprise. Are you warning me? This doesn't seem like something you would do. Humph. My life is connected to yours. That's why I'm reminding you. You can't afford to provoke that Wang Ji. The further you stay away from him, the better. When Wang Ji was mentioned, the Antlord, who was a dignified sage, actually shuddered. What he was afraid of was not Wang Ji but the karma. Ning Fan became even more puzzled. He withdrew his emotions and said with a solemn tone, "You are a saint. Why are you so afraid of a great cultivator from the ancient times?" The legend of Guanqi Lank is widely spread in the cultivation world. You must have heard of it, said the Antmaster. Ning Fan nodded. Of course he had heard of the story of Guanqi and Lanku. It was said that in ancient times, near Shishir Mountain in Xinan Prefecture, there was a woodcutter named Wang Ji. When he was chopping wood, he came to the mountain and saw a few immortals playing chess. Therefore, Wang Ji went forward to take a look. When he finished watching the match, he was surprised to find that the wooden handle of his axe had completely rotted. By the time he returned to the human world, 100 years had passed, and there were no more people from his generation. Legend had it that Wang Ji finally understood that he had met a celestial being. Overjoyed, he returned to Shishir Mountain and became a disciple of the primordial immortals. He abandoned the mortal world and devoted himself to cultivation. There was also a legend that Wang Ji was disheartened when he saw his loved ones passing away. That was why he entered the Tao sect. However, he did not cultivate in Shishir Mountain. Instead, he went somewhere else and became the disciple of someone else. There were usually hundreds and thousands of versions of such cultivation anecdotes. Naturally, they were not credible. There was even a later generation who wrote a poem based on Wang Ji's tone. Guanqi and Lanku, chopping wood, walking slowly at the entrance of the valley by the cloud, selling firewood for wine, laughing wildly to cultivate one's love, facing the moon, resting on a pine tree, sleeping until dawn, recognizing the old forest, climbing the cliff and crossing the ridge, chopping the withered vines with the axe, harvesting 1 load, selling 3 liters of rice in Shinga City. There was no competition for it. The current price was average. Not knowing how to scheme, no honor or disgrace, living a peaceful life. Wherever they met, they were either immortals or Taoists, sitting quietly and talking about the Golden Court. The artistic conception of this poem was extremely profound. It described the woodcutter as indifferent and carefree, as if he was an unworldly expert. In the eyes of the mortal world, fishermen and woodcutters were the most carefree people in the world. However, they did not know that there was no such thing as carefree in this world. This poem was better than the artistic conception, but it was far away from life. Fishermen fishing in the Han River were not to enjoy the snowy scenery. They just wanted to endure the pain of the bitter cold to make a living. Woodcutters cutting firewood and selling firewood were not to live in seclusion in the forest. If it wasn't for survival, who would be so free to cut down trees and destroy their vitality? White-haired fishermen and woodcutters meeting happily over a pot of turbid wine in the river. These were the imaginations of those who did not have to worry about food and clothing. Hee hee, the hand that picks up the pole hasn't stopped. The painter doesn't know the hardships of the fisherman. This is the true portrayal of the life of a poor fisherman and woodcutter. Ning Fan's thoughts gradually drifted away. However, he was called back by the Lord Ant's sneer. I'm reminding you out of goodwill. Is it really good for you to be so distracted? Let's talk about Wang Ji. My master had mentioned him before. He said that what Wang Ji saw in the Stone Room Mountain was not just a game of chess, but the origin of the entire cultivation world. The identities of the few immortals who were playing chess in the mountain were even more terrifying. However, my master didn't say much about them. The master of the Lord Ant was old ancestor Hong Jun, who was at the 4th step of the immortal realm. Even old ancestor Hong Jun felt that Wang Ji's identity was terrifying. The origin of cultivation, huh? In that case, those few immortals have a higher status than your master? Ning Fan asked casually. Actually, he was not interested in such secrets. Nonsense. My master, Hong Jun, is the strongest immortal in the Profound Gate. How can there be anyone who has a higher status than him? The Lord Ant retorted with displeasure. However, her tone was obviously not very confident. She only refuted because she was loyal. However, the Lord Ant clearly remembered how respectful her master's expression was when she mentioned those immortals in the past. All in all, just don't provoke that Wang Ji. The karma on him is too terrifying. Once you get tainted by his karma, it will only bring you more harm than good. Ordinary people don't know about this, but most of the 4th step immortal sovereigns in the true world know about it. Because of that, none of the immortal sovereigns have ever gone to find trouble with Wang Ji. Even the sages usually stay away from him. On the other hand, those juniors who don't know their place always want to gain some benefits from Wang Ji. They really don't know what's good for them. Oh. Ning Fan was no longer interested in Wang Ji. He was thinking about how to make good use of the time he had left. Hey, I've said so much. Are you even listening to me carefully? Ning Fan's indifferent tone really annoyed the Lord Ant. What a load of nonsense. You don't have any fear, worry, surprise, or concentration in your emotions at all. You're not listening to me at all. The conversation could no longer continue. The Lord Ant let out a cold harumph. She did not plan to continue reminding Ning Fan. She finally understood that Ning Fan did not take her warning seriously at all. She was just wasting her breath. Naturally, she felt a little frustrated. However, this time, she actually did not dare to flare up at Ning Fan. She could only swallow her anger and humphed. This was not like her at all. That's right. I don't dare to. She was a dignified Sage Realm expert. By right, it was impossible for her to be afraid of a 2nd step immortal sovereign. However, ever since Ning Fan cultivated a trace of the devil spirit bloodline, she actually could not muster up the confidence of a Sage Realm expert when facing him. Previously, Ning Fan only possessed the bloodline of a divine spirit. Therefore, she did not feel much pressure when facing him. After all, divine beings were defeated by the descendants of immortal spirits. No matter how noble a divine being was, it was not worth mentioning. However, Ning Fan cultivated a trace of the devil spirit bloodline. What was a devil spirit? The Lord Ant had never heard of it at all. Even many Nirvana saints were not qualified to know such a great secret of heaven and earth, let alone her. She only knew one thing. When facing Ning Fan at this moment, she actually felt a sense of inferiority and fear that came from the depths of her soul. It was a kind of powerlessness that all living things in this world felt when facing their creator. It was like how mortals were afraid of flames, heavenly lightning, and the deep sea. It was a kind of terrifying aura that only cultivators at the 3rd step and above could feel. As a result, after being ignored by Ning Fan, the dignified Sage Realm Ant Lord actually only dared to sulk alone instead of quarreling with Ning Fan like how she usually did. In Ning Fan's eyes, he naturally felt that it was extremely abnormal. However, he did not pay too much attention to it. He disliked the Lord Ant from the bottom of his heart. Even though she had kindly reminded him, he did not want to talk to her for too long. A breath of time in the outside world was equivalent to several hours in the 4-sided chess world. Bei Xiaoman had just finished her 2nd game. There was still some time before she would play the 3rd game. Before the 3rd round of chess begins, he would have at least a few hundred days to enter secluded cultivation. The mixed element body of 5 elements has already been cultivated. Since I have plenty of time, I might as well cultivate the yin and yang 4 divisions. After cultivating the 5 elements origin, one could cultivate the yin and yang 4 divisions. After cultivating the yin and yang 4 divisions, one could cultivate the Tai Chi life and death. The yin and yang 4 divisions was an extension of the 5 elements mixed essence body. It was a kind of profound divine power that required the cultivator to use himself as the foundation and cultivate the 4 directions guardian deities. The self is in the middle, and the 4 directions are guarding the north, south, east, west. In the cultivation world, there were many descriptions of the 4 symbols. Some people said that the 4 symbols represented spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Some people said that the 4 symbols were the 4 great mysterious divine beasts: azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise. Some people said that the 4 symbols represented the old yang, little yin, old yin, and little yang. Some people said that the 4 symbols represented the stars in the 4 directions. Of course, when it came to academics, everyone could have their own opinions and opinions. This was understandable. Ning Fan took out the jade slip given to him by omniscient old man, and carefully studied the part about yin-yang and 4 symbols. Suddenly, he saw a sentence between the lines. It was describing the yin-yang and 4 symbols that omniscient old man cultivated. Wood Saint Mu Gui Jia of the east, Fire Saint Mu Gui Yi of the south, Earth Nascent Demon Crane and Eye of the central, Gold Saint Mu Gui Bing of the west, and Water Saint Mu Gui Xian Ding of the north. He remembered that omniscient old man had summoned the 4 symbols twice in front of him. They were Fire Devil Yi and Water Saint Mu Gui Ding. In other words, other than Fire Devil Yi and Water Saint Mu Gui Ding, omniscient old man also cultivated 2 other 4 symbols: Wood Ghost Jia and Gold Divine Mu Gui. As for the Demon Crane and Eye, it was probably referring to omniscient old man himself. Gold Divine Mu Gui, Fire Devil Yi, Demon Crane and Eye, Water Saint Mu Gui Ding, Wood Ghost Jia. When the 5 of them are added together, they seem to correspond to the gods, devils, demons, immortals, and ghosts. Could it be that senior omniscient old man cultivated the yin-yang 4 symbols based on this? However, there's one thing that I don't quite understand. There's nothing wrong with a being yang wood. However, B is yin wood. Why does it correspond to fire? C is yang fire but it corresponds to metal, whereas D is yin fire. Why does it correspond to water? Ning Fan muttered to himself. Could it be that omniscient old man's yin-yang and 4 symbols had already reached the level where he could reverse the 5 elements? Could it be that he could ignore the attributes of the 5 elements? On the other hand, reversing the 5 elements did not seem to be very difficult, because the yin-yang transformation that he cultivated had a similar ability which allowed him to turn water into fire and lightning into ice. Hee. There's something you don't know. There's a reason why omniscient old man cultivated such a strange 4 symbols. That old man is actually an idiot at naming things. The Lord Ant suddenly let out a mocking laugh. She recalled some interesting legends that she had heard in the past. It was said that a long time ago, an idiot genius appeared in the branch sect of the Hongjun Holy Sect. That person was none other than omniscient old man when he was young. He was said to be a genius because his innate talent was too heaven-defying. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was the #1 nascent soul realm cultivator, since the beginning of time. It was said that he was an idiot because his ability to come up with names was just too trashy. On that day, omniscient old man cultivated the yin-yang 4 symbols that even sages could cultivate with his mere nascent soul realm cultivation base. On that day, omniscient old man summoned the 4 symbols and named them in front of them. The process of naming them had completely embarrassed the yin-yang sect. Omniscient old man said, "It's really troublesome to come up with names. The 4 of you can just arrange yourselves according to A, B, C, and D." Metal, wood, water, and fire 4 symbols said, "We are the 4 symbols. Don't you think the way you name them is a little too casual? It doesn't conform to the 5 elements, all right?" Omniscient old man said, "Cut the crap. Are you guys the boss or am I the boss? The subordinates should listen to the boss. All right, take off your pants now. I want to see your dick." Metal, wood, water and fire 4 symbols. Omniscient old man said, "Your dick is the longest. You are the wood ghost armor. You are the second, fire devil bee. You are the third, work harder. Gold divine third. Your dick is only half the length of the wood ghost armor. What's the point of living like this? You are the fourth, water immortal fourth. Hey, why are you crying, water immortal fourth? Summon up your courage to face life, water immortal fourth. Pooh, gold divine third is actually twice as long as you. Pooh, this is actually your hardened length. Pooh, I can't take it anymore. Let me laugh for a while more. How dare you, water immortal fourth, you dare to take off boss pants. You are not allowed to look. No one is allowed to look." Water immortal fourth's tears turned into laughter, and he rolled on the ground, laughing. "Ha ha ha. Boss, you are actually shorter than me. Do you really not feel inferior like this?" Omniscient old man said, "What do you guys know? This is called hidden elephant horse, okay? The shorter the dick, the deeper the profound nature. The deeper the profound nature, the higher the cultivation. You are not allowed to laugh. No one is allowed to laugh." That day, omniscient old man became the laughingstock of the real world. It was not that his dick was ridiculed. In fact, the more profound a cultivator was, the shorter dick was. Omniscient old man did not lie about this. The reason why the immortals were ridiculed was the way omniscient old man named the 4 symbols. Naming them according to the length of dick was indeed a disgrace to the culture. I wonder how the 2-form saint raised such a strange disciple. It's really a joke. It's such a waste of this young man's top-notch aptitude as the #1 nascent soul realm cultivator in history. Isn't this story very funny? The Ant Lord had been suppressed by omniscient old man for many years. Naturally, whenever he had the chance, he would try his best to make fun of omniscient old man. Ning Fan's expression was terrifyingly gloomy. Somehow, he and omniscient old man seemed to have a brotherly relationship. How could he tolerate others making fun of omniscient old man? Shut up. If you dare to laugh again, don't blame me for punishing you. Ning Fan was very angry. The result of his anger was the overwhelming aura force of the 2 spirits, making the Ant Lord tremble in fear. "Little ant, why are you being so fierce? Can't you talk nicely if you don't allow me to laugh?" The Ant Lord was terrified. This was the true wrath of a fiend god. It actually gave her the illusion that existences on the same level as Ancestor Hongjun, Ancestor Li and the Lord of Tribulation thought were angry. Ning Fan no longer paid attention to the Ant Lord. With a muffled voice, he continued to read the Jade Slip. The Jade Slip did not only record omniscient old man's Yin and Yang 4 symbols, but also others' Yin and Yang 4 symbols. Even though the Yin and Yang 4 symbols was the ultimate technique of the 2-form sect, it was not created by the 2-form saint. Instead, it was a great divine ability that had existed since ancient times. Of course, the disciples of the 2-form sect were not the only ones who had mastered it. There were also other people who had mastered it. He began to try to cultivate the Yin and Yang 4 symbols. The 4 symbols could not be mastered in one go. Instead, he needed to master them one by one. Ning Fan closed his eyes and immersed his consciousness into his inner world. As he began to cultivate the Yin and Yang 4 symbols, a grand formation of 5 directions appeared in his inner world. Strange. Why is it a 5 directions formation? Ning Fan was slightly surprised. When ordinary people cultivate the Yin and Yang 4 symbols, they would form a formation of 4 directions. However, he formed a formation of 5 directions. The reason why this happened was probably related to the uniqueness of his primordial spirit body. His 5 directions formation was directly arranged according to the divine, devil, demon, immortal and ghost. His true self was sitting on the divine seat of the 5 directions formation. As for the other 4 seats, 3 of them were empty. Only the devil spirit seat was occupied by an illusory young man. The features of that young devil spirit were exactly the same as Ning Fan's. That young devil spirit's cultivation base was very weak. It was only at the vein opening realm. That young devil spirit seemed to be incomplete. His eyes were always closed, and he did not talk to Ning Fan. That young devil spirit's Yin Qi was very heavy. The so-called Yin Qi was actually, relatively speaking, compared to Ning Fan, His existence was more ethereal and illusory. That was why his yin qi was very heavy. If Ningfan were to encounter cultivators from the true world, he would also appear to have extremely heavy yin qi compared to them. Ningfan tried to establish a spiritual connection with that young devil spirit. He had an illusion. That young devil spirit was neither his second primordial spirit, nor his clone. It was another version of him. He actually created another version of himself based on the existence of his true self. If I can make this young devil spirit open his eyes and establish a true spiritual connection with me, I will be able to cultivate the first of the 4 symbols. However, how should I do it? Ningfan opened his eyes and stared at the young devil spirit. No matter how he stared at him or how he tried to communicate with him, the young devil spirit just kept his eyes closed and ignored him. All of a sudden, Ningfan had an epiphany. He closed his eyes and separated himself from his 5 senses, as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. At this moment, the young devil spirit opened his eyes in a strange manner. His eyes were filled with a hint of blankness. There were countless parallel reincarnations in the world. Not all parallel reincarnations had 4 heavens and 9 worlds. Not all parallel reincarnations had universal cultivation planets. No one could see through all parallel reincarnations because theoretically, the number of parallel reincarnations was infinite. However, even a 4th-step immortal sovereign's cultivation base was still limited to a limited number of reincarnations. In an inconspicuous small reincarnation, there was a world called the mortal world. It was said that there was a spiritual world above the mortal world. It was said that there was an immortal world above the spiritual world. In the mortal world, there were countless Buddhist sects and many Buddhist countries. This was a cultivation world where Buddhist cultivators were the most respected. The Tao sects had declined and there were few talents. Children had to receive enlightenment on Buddhist Dharma from a very young age. Those disciples of cultivation clans had to cultivate the Bhikkhu Sutra of Buddhist sects since they were young in an attempt to increase their Buddhist power and become a true bhikkhu. The so-called bhikkhu referred to the lowest level of Buddhist cultivators. At this moment, in the Bai clan of Hassa, a test of Buddhist power was being conducted. Buddhist power 3rd level. Looking at the 5 shining words on the stone tablet, the black-robed young man named Bai Fan remained expressionless. His lips curled into a self-deprecating smile. Due to the strength he used to clench his fists tightly, his nails pierced deep into his palms, bringing him waves of excruciating pain. Bai Fan Buddhist power 3rd level. Grid low. Beside the stone tablet, a middle-aged man who was in charge of the assessment glanced at the information displayed on the tablet and announced Bai Fan's result with an indifferent tone. All of a sudden, the entire Bai clan was filled with mocking laughter. They were mocking the fallen genius of the Bai clan because his Buddhist power was actually declining year after year. Not only did it not increase, but it also regressed year after year. Bai Fan himself was also very depressed. He didn't know why he hated Buddhist Dharma since he was a child. He was not stupid, but he was not interested in learning Buddhist Dharma. He hated the boring morning classes, noon classes, and evening classes every day. He hated reciting Buddhist scriptures that taught people to endure hardships and accept their fate. He didn't agree with all the Buddhist supernatural powers. None of the supernatural powers of Buddhism that he learned had a compatibility rate of more than 10%. Although he hated Buddhist Dharma, he still forced himself to cultivate Buddhist power hard in order to stand out. Perhaps it was because of his innate aptitude. Although he rejected the Buddhist Dharma, the speed at which he cultivated the Buddhist Dharma was still extremely shocking. When he was 7 years old, he cultivated to 10th level of Buddhist power. Then he advanced to the laying foundation period and became a glorious Bhikkhu Buddhist cultivator. When he was 10 years old, he cultivated to the peak of the laying foundation period and was not far from breaking through to the golden core period. The cultivators of Hassa once made a list of the top 100 young people with talents, and Bai Fan was among the top 10. He was the hope of the Bai clan, and also a genius that was highly valued by the cultivation world of Hassa. But then a strange thing happened. After that, his bad luck began. When he was 12 years old, a man as handsome as a god suddenly appeared in his inner world. That man's appearance was almost exactly the same as his, but he looked extremely old, as if he had experienced the accumulation of countless years. That man sat cross-legged and slept with his eyes closed. He never opened his eyes and never talked to him. Bai Fan didn't know who that godlike man was, and he couldn't drive this man out of his inner world. Since this godlike man appeared in his heart, his bad luck came one after another. His cultivation of Buddhist Dharma could no longer be improved, and it even began to fall. From half a step into the Golden Core period, his cultivation fell all the way to third level of Buddhist power. He became the laughingstock of the whole Bai clan. What was more unfortunate was that he got the news that someone would come and ask him to break off the engagement soon. As expected, not long after Bai Fan's result was out, a group of cultivators rode on Buddhist clouds and came whistling over. These people were the royal guards of Hassa. The leader of these guards was a 15-year-old girl. She was the daughter of the king of Hassa, Princess Vulture. Back then, Bai Fan's talent was outstanding. In order to win over this talent, the king of Hassa personally contacted the Bai clan and arranged a marriage between Bai Fan and Princess Vulture. But later, Bai Fan's outstanding talent disappeared. Princess Vulture came today to break off the engagement. She glanced at the stone tablet arrogantly and was surprised to find that her fiancé, Bai Fan's cultivation had fallen again. Last year, he was still at 5th level of Buddhist power. This year, he was only at 3rd level. He was too weak. Therefore, Princess Vulture was even more determined to break off the engagement. She turned against the Bai clan on the spot and broke off the engagement with Bai Fan. The leader of the Bai clan was greatly embarrassed. He was so angry that his old wounds acted up again. He vomited blood and fell to the ground. Humiliation. How humiliating. Bai Fan gritted his teeth and helped the leader stand up. He glared at Princess Vulture. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't because of his anger. Because he was so angry, Bai Fan's eyes were burning with demonic fire. Demonic chi surged around him. He was never a Buddhist cultivator. There was a demon living in the depths of his heart. What? This Bai Fan is a demonic cultivator. In the vast land of Buddhism, he actually dares to learn from those demons and cultivate the demonic Tao. Everyone was shocked. Because of the prosperity of Buddhism, there were not many demonic cultivators in the human world. Occasionally, they would appear, but they would usually be suppressed and purified by the Buddhas. Seeing that Bai Fan had fallen into the demonic Tao, Princess Vulture wanted to order people to capture Bai Fan and lock him in the capital's prison. However, right at this moment, a light voice descended from the sky, accompanied by a sky full of flying petals. It was an extremely pleasant but cold voice of a woman. Bai Fan felt that he had heard that voice before, but he couldn't remember where. He's my demon. If you hurt him, I'll slaughter your entire country. A woman with a sword on her back came to save Bai Fan with a cold expression. Everyone was shocked when they saw the woman. It's the spiritual lady. The female demon ranked 10th in the demonic sect of the North region. Why is she here? Bai Fan wanted to raise his head to see the appearance of the spiritual lady. But before he could raise his head, his vision turned black and he fainted on the ground. In the world of Ning Fan's mind, Ning Fan opened his eyes. At the moment he opened his eyes, the young devil spirit who was sitting at the devil spirit position of the pentagonal formation closed his eyes in a strange manner. His chi became lifeless again. Bai Fan. Spiritual lady. Ning Fan muttered to himself. When he closed his eyes, he seemed to have transformed into another identity and was living in another parallel reincarnation cycle. In that parallel reincarnation, his name seemed to be Bai Fan. He seemed to have experienced some bad luck. As for what it was, he couldn't remember it at all, as if he had just woken up from a dream. He could only vaguely remember that someone wanted to capture him. Then, a woman called the spiritual lady came to save him. Ning Fan tried his best to recall, but he couldn't remember what had happened in that era of reincarnation for Bai Fan. He inadvertently looked at Bai Fan again, and suddenly became speechless. He closed his eyes. He remembered that the devil spirit Bai Fan was at the 3rd level of the vein opening realm. Now that he woke up from his sleep, he was surprised to find that Bai Fan's cultivation base had dropped to the 1st level of the vein opening realm. This devil spirit is really strange. Why is his cultivation base getting lower and lower? Bai Fan. Bai Fan. I've used this name before. It was used to name one of the clones of Mo Lu's clone. Now there's another Bai Fan. Ning Fan still did not fully understand the principle of the yin and yang force symbols. He did not understand why something similar to parallel reincarnation would happen. He could not be sure if this was a special case of him, or if the yin and yang force symbols were always like this. He wanted to close his eyes and live as the devil spirit Bai Fan for a while to experiment. However, at this moment, he received a summon from Bei Xiaoman. The third round had begun. He left the world of his mind. He had to become a chess soldier and participate in the third round on behalf of Bei Xiaoman. Let's end the battle quickly. Ning Fan's body swayed and disappeared from his original spot. 10 breaths later, he returned to his original spot and continued to meditate with his legs crossed. His mind sank into the world of his mind. At the foot of the Stone Room Mountain in the Sea of Time, Bei Xiaoman's opponent for the third round was a chess player who was dressed like a wandering monk. This person was attached to the Eastern Palace and his Buddhist name was Xiaosu. Amitba. It's meaningless to throw the pieces to decide the first move. This old monk has a suggestion. Is fourth miss willing to listen to it? Xiaosu squinted his eyes and said with a smile, "What advice does master have for me?" Bei Xiaoman was very polite in the beginning. After all, monk Xiaosu was very famous in the Northern Heaven chess world. I want to use one of my toes to exchange for fourth miss's first move. What do you think? Xiaosu's words were shocking. As soon as he said those words, he took out an iron rod and smashed the thumb of his left foot. Instantly, the pain pierced his heart and blood flowed out. However, his facial expression remained the same. There was not a single change in his expression. It was obvious how terrifying his endurance was. Bei Xiaoman's expression changed. Monk Xiaosu had already smashed one of his toes. If she did not give him the first move, she would have to give up some of her body parts. Otherwise, how would she have the face to compete for the first move? Then here comes the problem. She had heard that Monk Xiaosu's first move was very powerful. It was said that up until now he had never lost a single move. This person must have seen her winning without doing anything and knew that there was something fishy going on. That was why he purposely fought for the first move. He wanted to use the advantage of the first move to kill off her trickery. How about it? Fourth miss, are you going to give me the first move? Could it be that you think that using one toe to exchange for the first move is not enough? Alright. Clang. Monk Xiaosu smashed the thumb of his right foot again. Bei Xiaoman was speechless. She could see Monk Xiaosu's determination. He had already smashed 2 toes. If she still did not give him the first move, it would be too unreasonable. Fine, I'll give him the first move. She also wanted to see if she could still win the third round without doing anything after giving her the upper hand. It probably wouldn't happen again. 10 breaths later, Bei Xiaoman was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. Opposite her, Monk Xiaosu was completely speechless. Monk Xiaosu sacrificed 2 toes and finally got the first move. However, before he could even finish arranging his chess pieces, the spirit general exploded. He actually lost without doing anything. Winner, Bei Xiaoman. Bei Xiaoman won 3 games in a row without doing anything. The great elder of the Eastern Palace wore a gloomy expression. He looked at everything that happened in front of him in disbelief. Who can tell me? What did that bitch Bei Xiaoman do? Why did she win without doing anything? Why can't Monk Xiaosu do anything to her? The elders of the Eastern Palace kept quiet out of fear. None of them could answer this question. They were different from the elders of the Western Palace. They did not receive the news that Ning Fan was hiding in Bei Xiaoman's residence. They did not know that Bei Xiaoman was involved with Zhao Jian, an ancient great cultivator. Of course, they could not find a reasonable explanation. Only the few elders of the Western Palace knew the inside story. Of course, they knew why Bei Xiaoman could win. Bei Xiaoman used the back door to arrange for Ning Fan to enter the four-sided chess world in advance. Moreover, these few old men were the ones who personally handled the matter. They could not wait to let Ning Fan enter the four-sided chess world in advance. After all, when the chess soldiers officially enter the chess world, each of them would receive the attention of countless spectators. It was hard to guarantee that no one would recognize Ning Fan. If Ning Fan entered the four-sided chess world in advance, no one would notice him. It was funny that the others were still kept in the dark until now. After the elders of the Western Palace looked at each other, they clapped their hands and laughed heartily. Then they ran to the people of the Eastern Palace to annoy them. The first elder of the Western Palace said, "Wonderful! Wonderful! This is the real hand of God. Before the game has even started, you have already lost the entire game." The second elder of the Western Palace said, "Fourth Miss Chess skill has already surpassed the game itself. He must have touched upon the legendary laws of chess. Only by doing so could she defeat the chess players of the opponent without even fighting." The third elder of the Western Palace said, "If the human king doesn't kill, he has the momentum to subdue his opponent. Before the chess piece is placed, he has the momentum to win. I believe that fourth miss must have relied on the momentum to win." The fourth elder of the Western Palace said, "Who is the peak at the end of the road of chess? Fourth Mrs. Dao has become nothing. We can't afford to offend her." "Nonsense. I have lived for so many years, but I have never heard of any Dao of chess in this world that can allow someone to win in the first game. Your Western Palace must have cheated," the great elder said angrily. "Hee, please be careful with your words, great elder. How can great elder accuse others without any evidence? Winning without doing anything is not cheating. How can a cultivator's matter be considered cheating? Don't make fun of me." Then, the elders of the Western Palace told the great elder about the principles of a gentleman is always poor, and a wise man is always poor, which made the crowd burst into laughter. The entire stone room mountain was filled with a cheerful atmosphere. The great elder of the Western Palace was so angry that his face turned green. He was not stupid. How could he not see that something was fishy? There must be something that was out of his control. The few elders of the Western Palace looked like villains who were intoxicated with success. One look and he knew that they had something to hide. "Men, go and investigate. Find out if there are any powerful figures that came to the Western Palace Island recently," the great elder ordered in a low voice. Unfortunately, the news of Ning Fan had already been sealed by the elders of the Western Palace. They even hid it from the palace lord, Yuan Yao. How could they let outsiders know about it? The great elder sent people to investigate, but they could not find anything. No matter how he thought about it, he still felt that Bei Xiaoman had used some special method to cheat, but he could not find any evidence. "Great elder, what should we do now?" the other elders of the Eastern Palace asked with an ugly expression. Their Eastern Palace had done a lot of tricks for the second round of the competition. They were determined to win the second round. However, if Bei Xiaoman really cheated all the way and won without doing anything, their arrangements would most likely fail. "Let's wait. I don't believe that Bei Xiaoman can really win all the way," the great elder said in a deep voice. In a parallel universe. Bai Fan opened his eyes blankly and woke up from his coma. As soon as he opened his eyes, he could not remember that he was Ning Fan. He only remembered that he was Bai Fan, the fallen genius of the Bai clan. Previously, he had exposed his devil cultivation base and was captured by the spirit vulture princess. Then he was rescued by a female devil named Ling Nu. "Miss, may I know how long I have been unconscious and where is this place?" Bai Fan noticed that there was a maidservant serving beside the bed, so he asked, "Madam, you have been unconscious for 10 days. You are currently in Blood Marshal Mountain." The servant girl answered respectfully. However, there were many strange things in her words. She actually addressed Bai Fan as madam. Bai Fan was obviously a young man. How did he become a madam? However, Bai Fan did not think too much about it. He just thought that he had just woken up and heard the wrong address. "Wait. Miss is saying that I am currently in Blood Marshal Mountain?" Bai Fan could not stay calm anymore. Blood Marshal Mountain was the territory of devil cultivators. He was someone from the Buddha country. Why would he appear in the territory of devil cultivators? Could it be that he was kidnapped by the Ling Nu? Speaking of which, who was the Ling Nu? He did not know much about the forces of devil cultivators in the Saha world. Could it be that the Ling Nu was from the Blood Marshal sect? May I ask where is the Ling Nu lady who saved me now? As soon as Bai Fan spoke, the servant girl's expression suddenly changed. She said angrily, "My lord saved you out of kindness and even married you. You are not grateful. You even imitated those righteous Buddhists and scolded my lord as a Ling Nu. How rude." Was Ling Nu a scolding term? He did not know. Before he fainted, he heard others call her that. Wait. What do you mean by marry me? Bai Fan's face suddenly turned black. He had a vague feeling that something was wrong. He then sensed his dantian, and immediately sighed. His cultivation level of the 3rd level of vein opening had fallen again. This time, it had fallen to the 1st level of vein opening. Not right. What is the 1st level of vein opening? His current cultivation level should be called the 1st level of Buddha force. Why did a strange term suddenly appear in his mind? Oh, are you awake, little guy? Suddenly, a beautiful figure with a fragrant wind walked in from the door. As soon as she saw the person, the servant girl immediately knelt on the ground and greeted the Lord. Bai Fan raised his head and looked. His eyes were fixed on the person's face. It was a woman with a cold appearance and a long sword on her back. Her appearance was very beautiful, but that was not the main point. The main point was that Bai Fan felt that he had seen this woman somewhere before. Ching Ching Ling. Bai Fan could not help but shout out. As soon as the words came out, he was at a loss. He did not know why he called this woman Qingling. It seemed to be a habit. Ji Qingling let out a soft cry of surprise. She did not understand why Bai Fan, who was meeting her for the first time, could accurately call her by her common name. She had already abandoned that common name for many years. Today, she was called the Blood Martial Master by her fellow Devil Dao cultivators, and was called the Ling Nu by the righteous Buddhist cultivators. Previously, she just happened to pass by the Bai clan, and happened to see the scene of Bai Fan being broken off his engagement, leaking devil qi, and being captured. She actually did not understand why she had to meddle in other people's business and save Bai Fan. She was only driven by instinct and saved him. There was no reason and there was no need for a reason. Chapter 1233. The cultivation of the yin and yang force symbols wasn't something that could be done in a day. With Ning Fan's current cultivation of the force symbols, he was still unable to communicate with the devil spirit's mind. Every time he opened his eyes, he couldn't remember what he had experienced in his reincarnation as the demonic spirit youth. There was always a barrier between him and the devil spirit. Ning Fan's current cultivation base was far from enough to break this barrier. That barrier was called samsara. The cultivation of the yin-yang force symbols was filled with difficulties. Fortunately, every time Ning Fan awakened from his devil spirit body, he would extract a small amount of yin and yang qi from the transformation of the two eras. After a few hundred days of cultivation, he would be able to refine a strand of yin and yang qi. In order to activate the Taiji life and death realm, one would need at least 1,000,000 strands of yin and yang qi. The cultivation of the yin and yang force symbols could not be accomplished in one go. Ning Fan also did not expect to be able to master such a great divine ability within a short period of time. He did not forget that his main purpose in coming to the Four Corners chess realm was not to cultivate, but to help Bei Xiaoman play every game. Inside the four-sided chess world, Ning Fan moved again and again to eliminate the enemy's chess group. In the real world, Bei Xiaoman defeated her opponents again and again. Her ranking in the number of victories was getting higher and higher. 13 wins and 0 losses. In the blink of an eye, Bei Xiaoman had won 13 rounds in a row, and every round was a crushing victory. More often than not, the opponent would lose the entire game the moment the game started. On the East Palace's seats, the Great Elder was hopping mad. He had secretly arranged a bunch of 6 Bo's national champions for Bei Xiaoman, but none of them could end Bei Xiaoman's winning streak. Huang Longshi, Shi Xiangxia, Su Xingyu Lu Zhongfu. One after another, Northern Sky's national experts were defeated by Bei Xiaoman. Gradually, Bei Xiaoman's record rose to 35 wins and 0 losses. Bei Xiaoman had already defeated a powerful national expert. It was obvious that Yu Zi could not shake Bei Xiaoman's winning streak. Thus, the Grand Elder became anxious. He had no choice but to be anxious. The chess tournament at Shershur Mountain used a 50-game system, and everyone could only play 50 games. After 50 rounds, they would be ranked according to the number of wins and losses. If there were people who had the same number of victories and defeats, these people would fight each other again to determine the winner. At this rate, Bei Xiaoman would be able to finish all 50 matches in a short while. She would definitely be number one. Although the second round of the competition was insignificant, the Great Elder did not want the people of the Western Palace to be so outstanding, especially when it was Yuan Yao's daughter. Suddenly, a disciple of the Eastern Palace who was in charge of communication came to report. Good news, good news. Venerable Go has agreed to our request and is rushing over. However, the agreed price must be doubled. What? Venerable Go is willing to help us? How much longer until he arrives? The Great Elder was overjoyed. As long as Venerable Go arrived, Bei Xiaoman's winning streak would be ended. Venerable Go sent a voice transmission saying that he is not far away in the starry sky. He will definitely arrive within 5 games. The Eastern Palace disciple reported. Good, good. As long as Venerable Go is willing to come, not to mention doubling the price, the Eastern Palace is willing to pay 10 times the price. This time, we must kill the arrogance of the Western Palace. The Great Elder smiled coldly. He wanted to see if Bei Xiaoman could continue to be lucky after Venerable Go arrived. 36 wins and 0 losses. 37 wins and 0 losses. 38 wins and 0 losses. Bei Xiaoman's winning streak kept increasing. In the end, she was already completely numb to the fact that she could win without doing anything. Is it little Fan Fan? Is he the one who has been helping me win all the way? Bei Xiaoman was secretly delighted. No matter how stupid she was, she could vaguely tell who was the one who contributed to all of this. No matter who her opponent was, no matter how strong her opponent's chess pieces were, she could destroy all of her opponent's chess pieces at the first moment. All of this was because she had a freakishly strong chess devil, Ning Fan. The feeling of being protected by her gigolo was indescribably sweet. Bei Xiaoman's heart felt like it was smeared with honey. Even though the feeling of winning without doing anything felt great, the problem was how could her little Fan Fan be so powerful? Her impression of Ning Fan was still the same as in the past. A few hundred years ago, Ning Fan was just a little devil lord in the endless sea of the Rain World. A few hundred years later, he could already defeat the chess pieces of the Northern Heaven? Previously, little Fan Fan told me that he is actually a heaven-defying immortal king. Could it be that he wasn't joking? Oh my god! He actually became an immortal king. He only spent a few hundred years, and he even came from the Rain World. But I actually thought that he was just a void refinement realm cultivator. When she thought of this, Bei Xiaoman could no longer feel happy. Instead, she covered her face in embarrassment. Shameful. This is way too shameful. Previously, she actually foolishly thought that Ning Fan was just a void refinement realm junior. How stupid must I be to think that an immortal king is a void refinement realm cultivator? How stupid must I be to have a big heart to raise an immortal king old monster as my gigolo? What is Xiaoman doing? That posture of covering her face. Is she celebrating her 38 consecutive victories? Her eldest sister, Bei Shi, and her third sister, Bailey, quietly observed Bei Xiaoman. Ku. According to my understanding of Xiaoman, every time she cries because of her own stupidity, she will cover her face like a defeated dog. I guess this time, she might have encountered something that made her cry because of her own stupidity. The second sister, Bei Qinghan, covered her face with a small fan and said with a strange smile. Speaking of which, what cultivation base did Xiaoman invite? Could it be a peak immortal king? Otherwise, without an immortal emperor, who would be able to win 38 consecutive victories in the Four Corners chess world? Bei Shi and Bailey did not pay much attention to Bei Xiaoman recently. Thus, they did not know that Ning Fan was by her side. Xiaoman has indeed invited an incredible person. I don't know whether he is a peak immortal king or not. But his ability to steal a woman's beauty is enough to be the best in the Northern Heaven. Of course. How could a person who could accept Xiaoman and her mother not be good at playing with women? The more Bei Qinghan thought about the indescribable scene between Ning Fan and her mother, the more excited she became. Steal a woman's beauty? Could the powerful chess soldier that Xiaoman invited be an old ancestor of the evil Dao? Bei Shi and Bei Li were extremely worried. They were worried that Xiaoman would suffer a loss. They were worried that Xiaoman would pay a heavy price for a momentary victory. Is it so easy to invite an old ancestor-level expert of the evil Dao? Either you have to pay a heavy price or he has other plans for you. I'm not sure if he is someone of the evil Dao. However, I'm sure that he has slept with Xiaoman before. Bei Qinghan deliberately did not reveal Ning Fan's true identity. Instead, she used words to mislead her two sisters. She liked to see her sisters' anxious faces. Hearing this, Bei Shi and Bei Li became anxious. They couldn't imagine that Xiaoman would sacrifice her body just to ask someone from the evil path to help her. That silly girl. Why would she sacrifice herself like this? Was it just to kill everyone in the second round? No. She did it for Mother. She definitely wants to be the best in the second round and fight for Mother's honor in front of the entire Northern Heaven. However, how can the Water Sect, who has an engagement with Xiaoman, let go of the matter? Once this matter is exposed, the Water Sect will be concerned about their reputation. How can they let Xiaoman go? Bei Shi and Bei Li quickly understood the crux of the matter. While they were touched by Bei Xiaoman's filial piety, they were also worried about her future. When the two of them were playing chess, they went to find Yuan Yao. They wanted to talk to their mother about Xiaoman and come up with a way to protect her. However, Yuan Yao's eyes were staring blankly at the moment. She did not even notice that her two daughters were talking to her. No matter how they called her, she would not reply. Left with no choice, the two of them went back to prepare for the next round of chess. They planned to discuss this matter with their mother after the second round ends. Yuan Yao was too focused. She spread out her spirit sense to observe every game that Bei Xiaoman played. She was not looking at the game itself but a certain chess piece on the chessboard. She remembered that Ning Fan seemed to have become Bei Xiaoman's chess devil. Could that little fellow be the one who helped Bei Xiaoman achieve 38 consecutive victories? What exactly is his cultivation base? 39 wins and 0 losses. 40 wins and 0 losses. Seeing that Bei Xiaoman had won another 5 games and revered chess, who was supposed to arrive, had yet to arrive, the great elder's heart was burning with anxiety. He had even prepared himself for the worst. He planned to accept the fact that the disciple of the West Palace had obtained the first place in the chess battle. However, at this moment, immortal music and the chanting of scriptures were heard from the sky above the stone room mountain. 8 young ladies carried a bridal sedan and arrived with the wind. There was no isolation formation on the bridal sedan. Thus, the cultivators only needed to use their spirit sense to scan the sedan, and they would be able to see the person who was sitting in the sedan. It was a fat old man. That fat old man had an ugly appearance. However, he was wearing a white robe that was embroidered with clouds. There was even a flower on his head. As soon as they saw that the person who arrived was actually this old man, the cultivators began to discuss among themselves. It's actually revered chess. Why is this old man here? Isn't he busy teaching the new female disciple of his family? You're really ignorant. A few months ago, this person's newly accepted female disciple suddenly died. How tragic. How many times has it been? I heard that a few chess pieces were dug out from the body of the female disciple who was killed by him last time. I wonder how she will die this time. Strange. This person's reputation is too bad. The Lost World Palace should not have invited him to participate in the chess battle. Why is he here? Is he here to be a spectator? It turned out that this fat old man was the infamous revered chess of the North Heaven. Although revered chess was called revered chess, he was actually a 5 tribulation immortal king. He was a peak immortal king who was half a step away from the immortal emperor realm. This person's methods were even more treacherous and powerful. It was said that he once offended a certain great emperor of the North Heaven because of his lust for women. In the end, he even defeated that great emperor of the North Heaven. being able to defeat an immortal emperor as an immortal king. This person's strength was evident. What was more troublesome was that this person had a master. His master was a sage-to-be with the title of True Lord Fuzhe. He was also infamous in the entire North Heaven. If not for the extremely bad reputation of his master and disciple, a powerful figure like revered Chess would be sought after wherever he went. He would not be in such a situation where he was being looked down upon by others. Strange. Why is this person here? Yuan Yao frowned. The guests of the second round were all invited in advance. She was very sure that this revered Chess was not on the invitation list. Just as she was hesitating whether to welcome this person, a few elders of the East Palace had already stepped forward to welcome him. Revered elder, you are finally here. You have kept us waiting. The great elder bowed respectfully. Cut the crap. Where is the reward? This old man will not take action without any reward. Revered Chess walked down the sedan chair and said arrogantly, Haha, revered elder, you can rest assured. As long as you represent the East Palace in the tournament, we will naturally offer you the promised double reward. Haha. Very good, very good. In that case, once the chess tournament is over, this old man will go to your East Palace to pick 20 female disciples. As soon as he finished speaking, revered Chess walked directly towards the chess tournament arena. He actually intended to participate in the chess tournament as a chess player of the East Palace. Everyone present was astounded. No one expected that revered Chess would actually participate in the chess tournament directly and not be a spectator. Moreover, revered Chess was actually invited by the great elder of the Lost World Palace. The reward was the sacrifice of 20 female disciples of the East Palace. Hold on. This is against the rules. Yuan Yao had to step in. Nothing could be accomplished without rules. The Lost World Palace tournament was an important event. Naturally, there were rules that could not be changed. Firstly, revered Chess was a chess player from the outside. He was not a disciple of the Lost World Palace or a foreign elder. Even if he participated in the second round, he could only participate as a chess player and not a chess player. Secondly, revered Chess came too late. The tournament had already started for a long time. According to the rules, it was not allowed to join the chess tournament halfway through. Most importantly, the Lost World Palace was a great sect. How could they offer their female disciples just to curry favor with an evil cultivator? Revered Chess might have a high cultivation level, but Yuan Yao still decided to fight for what was right. She voiced out her reasoning in hopes that revered Chess would understand and not force them to participate in the tournament. She also hoped that he would not harm the female disciples of the Lost World Palace. Revered Chess was very angry. He did not participate in the chess tournament of his own accord. If it was not for the humble request of the great elder of the Lost World Palace and the offer of double reward, he would not even bother to come to this lousy mountain and play this lousy game of chess. Yes, he was very skilled in chess. But so what? He was not interested in playing chess. He was more interested in playing with women. Revered Chess was about to explode when he saw someone stopping him from participating in the tournament. However, when he saw that it was the beautiful Yuan Yao who stopped him, his anger suddenly turned into evil. His sneer also turned into an evil smile. Interesting. Interesting. You are just a little girl in the shedding void state. How dare you disrespect me? If you dare to be presumptuous again, don't blame me for entering your room at night after the chess tournament. Ha 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 ha. Arrogant. How arrogant. No matter how incompetent Yuan Yao was, she was still the sect master of the Lost World Palace in name. Revered Chess was flirting with her, and did not respect the Lost World Palace at all. Many disciples of the Lost World Palace were furious, but did not dare to say anything. Revered Chess had a powerful background. Behind him stood the quasi-saint patriarch, perfected Lord Fuzhe. Ordinary people could not afford to offend revered Chess. Even the few immortal emperor patriarchs of the Lost World Palace could not afford to offend this person. Senior, please be careful with your words. Our sect master has a noble status. Her clean reputation is not something you can ruin. Before Yuan Yao could fly into a rage, a few West Palace elders stepped forward to protect Yuan Yao, causing everyone to be dumbfounded. I don't understand. I don't understand. Didn't they say that Yuan Yao was not well liked in the Lost World Palace? Didn't they say that even the West Palace elders were extremely disrespectful to Yuan Yao? In that case, who could explain what was wrong with these West Palace elders for them to be so loyal to their sect master, and to publicly contradict revered Chess? What? Revered Chess was also stunned. No matter how bad his reputation was, he was still a peak immortal king who could fight immortal emperors. He even had a quasi-saint master behind him. Since when did a few true immortals from the Lost World Palace dare to contradict him? Could it be that the world had changed and the strong were no longer respected? Good. Very good indeed. It seems that too many people have forgotten my ferocious name by not coming out into the world. Venerable Qi smiled coldly. Indeed, the Northern Heaven was a place that was particular about the rule of law. Everything had to be done according to the heavenly rules of the Four Fish sect. However, this did not mean that he could not punish a few true immortals. Revered Chess sneered as he stretched out his fleshy palm. As the magic power in his palm was released, illusory chess pieces immediately appeared in his palm. This is the Tao law of chess. Oh no! This old man is going to bully us by using the intelligence-destroying devil chess against us. It was rumored that revered Chess cultivated the Tao law of chess, and created a series of powerful abilities based on this Tao law. One of them was called the intelligence-destroying devil chess. Those who were hit by the intellect demonic chess would have their intelligence and comprehension reduced. The reduced portion would be reflected back to the venerated chess master according to the ratio, causing the venerated chess master's intelligence and comprehension to far surpass that of ordinary people. These West Palace elders only dared to contradict revered Chess because of Ning Fan's reputation. Now that they saw that revered Chess was going to use a ruthless move, they immediately became terrified. Just as they were about to apologize to revered Chess humbly, they suddenly heard an angry shout coming from outside the Stone Room Mountain. Who dares to behave atrociously in the Stone Room Mountain? Who dares to disrespect Palace Lord Yuan Yao? This angry roar was accompanied by the might of an immortal emperor. It arrived suddenly and locked onto Venerable Go with the mighty might of an immortal emperor. Caught off guard, revered Chess was hit by the angry shout. He could not help but feel his magic power stagnate. The intelligence-destroying devil chess that was brewing in his hand also dissipated randomly. Which immortal emperor friend is shouting here? Please come and meet me. Revered Chess was embarrassed. His heart was filled with hatred, thinking that the immortal emperor of the Lost World Palace must have intervened after seeing his disciple being bullied. However, his guess was wrong. In fact, a few immortal emperor old ancestors of the Lost World Palace had been in seclusion recently to help the Four Profound sect refine a magic treasure to deal with the foreign races in the North Border River. Due to this reason, the old ancestors who were in seclusion did not care about what was happening in the outside world. They had no idea that their disciples were being bullied in the Stone Room Mountain. It was even more impossible for them to intervene. As expected, the one who intervened was not the immortal emperor of the Lost World Palace, but the Ocean Sand Sect's Grand Emperor. How could it be him? Why would he meddle in the affairs of the Lost World Palace? Revered Chess was a little confused. Most of the cultivators here also could not figure out the reason behind it. Only a few of them knew why the Ocean Sand Emperor intervened. Of course, it was because of the great cultivator Zhao Jian from the ancient times. Ning Fan had stirred up a storm in Western Palace Island, and he did not hide anything. Those who had some ability would be able to find out what he had been doing recently. The Ocean Sand Emperor glanced at Yuan Yao inconspicuously. The reason why he intervened was to stand up for this woman. It was because this woman's identity was not ordinary. It was because Senior Zhao Jian had taken a liking to this woman. If it was during normal times, he certainly would not be willing to become enemies with a dangerous person like revered Chess. Of all the things he shouldn't have done, he shouldn't have blasphemed Yuan Yao and Senior Zhao's woman. He had received a great favor from Senior Zhao. He was supposed to die in the heavenly tribulation, but he was saved by Senior Zhao. He owed Senior Zhao his life. Since he owed him a life, he should repay him with his own life. Fellow Taoist Ocean Sand, what do you mean by this? I made things difficult for the juniors of the Lost World Palace, but I did not provoke the disciples of your Ocean Sand sect. What are you doing? Do you think that I am weak and easy to bully? Or do you think that my master is weak and easy to bully? I heard that you have just successfully passed your heavenly tribulation, and was lucky enough to survive another major heavenly tribulation. It's better if you don't force yourself. Revered Chess was afraid that his reputation would not be able to scare the old immortal emperors, Ocean Sand Emperor. Thus he mentioned his master. If it was someone else, they would probably be frightened by Revered Chess's quasi-sage realm master. However, who was Ocean Sand Emperor? He was a follower of Dao the Perfected Lord. In this life he only respected Senior Zhao. Even if your master was an ancient great cultivator like Senior Zhao, I would not allow you to bully Senior Zhao's family, let alone a first-level quasi-sage. Qilu, I can ignore whatever you do in the Lost World Palace. However, if you dare to disrespect Palace Lord Yuan Yao again, I will make you pay the price even if I have to spill my blood in the northern heavens today. Ocean Sand Emperor's eyes were filled with anger and a hint of madness. It was the madness of a follower. Revered Chess was shocked by the madness in Ocean Sand Emperor's words. He thought to himself, has this guy become stupid after going through a major heavenly tribulation? Why does he want to risk his life for no reason? Yuan Yao was also confused about the situation. She had no relationship with Ocean Sand sect. Even if she did, she was not qualified to be protected by an immortal emperor with her insignificant cultivation. Things were getting stranger and stranger. Humph, others might be afraid of you, but I'm not. Revered Chess was afraid of Ocean Sand Emperor's aura, but he did not show any weakness in his words. Unexpectedly, as soon as he finished speaking, another celestial emperor's voice came from outside the Stone Room Mountain. If one Taoist Ocean Sand is not enough, how about I join as well? Another immortal emperor actually came and stood on Ocean Sand Emperor's side. It's Perfected Tao Li. Wasn't he busy preaching today, and did not have time to watch the second round? Why is he here all of a sudden? More and more people were surprised. No one expected that they would be able to see a confrontation between several forefathers of Northern Heaven, just by watching the chess tournament on the Stone Room Mountain. The person who came was Perfected Tao Li, a sixth tribulation great emperor. The reason why he came to the Stone Room Mountain was not because he was interested in the chess tournament, but because he sensed that someone was extremely daring and disrespectful to Yuan Yao. Like Ocean Sand Emperor, Perfected Tao Li was also a loyal believer of the ancient great cultivator Zhao Jian. He could ignore Revered Chess bullying others, but if he dared to be disrespectful to Yuan Yao, he would make Revered Chess pay the price even if he had to risk his life. What a joke. Why is this old man standing up for the Lost World Palace? Revered Chess's expression turned serious. One Ocean Sand Emperor was enough. If Perfected Tao Li was added to the mix, he would have to restrain himself today. Otherwise he would really be at a disadvantage. I just want to play chess. Why are all of you old fellows trying to stop me? Revered Chess's tone was obviously softer. However, Perfected Tao Li's tone was still very tough. He pointed at Revered Chess's nose and scolded him like he was lecturing his disciple. Play chess. What qualifications do you have to participate in the chess tournament at the Stone Room Mountain? Did Palace Lord Yuan Yao agree to it? Senior Tao Li, this matter does not require the sect lord's approval. I am fully responsible for the chess tournament at the Stone Room Mountain. If I say that Venerable Chess can participate, then he can. The great elder spoke weakly and wanted to refute. This was the greatest courage he had mustered to refute a mighty immortal emperor. How dare you refute me? Perfected Tao Li had a strong character, and hated it when juniors refuted him. He immediately glared at the great elder of the Lost World Palace. How could the great elder withstand an immortal emperor's glare? He was immediately shaken by the huge pressure, and could not speak a word. This was ultimately the internal affairs of the Lost World Palace. Even if Perfected Tao Li and Ocean Sand Emperor wanted to intervene, they could not do so. At most, they could only defend Yuan Yao. Seeing that Yuan Yao sighed but did not refute the Great Elder, perfected Tao Li and Ocean Sand Emperor knew that the Great Elder was speaking the truth. The person who could decide whether Venerable Chess could participate or not was not Yuan Yao, but the Great Elder of the Lost World Palace. Fine. As an outsider, it is not appropriate for me to intervene in the internal affairs of the Lost World Palace. Otherwise, it will damage the reputation of the Lost World Palace. Do as you please. There is one thing I must remind you. If anyone dares to speak disrespectfully to Palace Lord Yuan Yao, don't blame me for not using my sword. Perfected Tao Li said. In the end, under the protection of the Great Elder, Venerable Chess made an exception and joined the chess tournament at the Stone Room Mountain. He was matched against Bei Xiaoman in the first round. At this moment, even a fool could tell that the Great Elder invited Venerable Chess to stop Bei Xiaoman's winning streak. The Great Elder was not afraid of others knowing his scheme, because he had the support of the Eastern Palace's ancestral master. In the Lost World Palace, the Eastern Palace's ancestral master had the highest cultivation among all the immortal emperors. The only hateful thing was that the Great Elder had invited Venerable Chess to help, but Venerable Chess was humiliated by the Ocean Sand Emperor and perfected Tao Li. Even the Great Elder was embarrassed. He didn't know what was wrong with those two immortal emperor old monsters. Why did they want to support the people of the Western Palace? Venerable Chess was furious. He had only teased Yuan Yao once, and he had been contradicted repeatedly. First, a few perfected immortal elders of the Western Palace had boldly contradicted him. After that, the Sea Sand Emperor and Taoist Master Li joined hands to support Yuan Yao. It was unknown what went wrong. How hateful. Never mind, since I have been humiliated outside the chess game, I'll get it back on the chessboard. He had heard from the Eastern Palace that the chess player he was going to face today was none other than Yuan Yao's youngest daughter. Humph. Your mother humiliated me, so I'll get back at you. Venerable Chess sat down with a sullen face and raised his head to size up Bei Xiaoman, who was on the opposite side of the chessboard. He was immediately attracted by Bei Xiaoman's petite figure. If he could press her down on the couch and stuff the chess pieces inside, how happy would that be? All right, he could use the chess pieces in the chess game to plant an illusion on her. After the chess battle, this girl would be at his mercy. According to the rules, before the game, the two had to exchange names. I am the chess player of the Eastern Palace, Qi Lu. Venerable Chess's eyes were as sharp as knives. He stared at Bei Xiaoman's little face, as if he was looking at prey. Bei Xiaoman felt a chill under Venerable Chess's stare. She had heard of Venerable Chess's notoriety, and was a little afraid. At the end of the day, she was just a junior. Sitting opposite her was an old demon comparable to an immortal emperor, and one who was extremely cruel to women. Naturally, she could not be fearless. Chess player of the Western Palace, Bei Xiaoman. Bei Xiaoman lost some of her confidence. This was the first time she felt that she would lose after winning 40 games in a row. She is Bei Xiaoman? Venerable Chess frowned. Bei Xiaoman was extremely special to Bei Tian. Of course, he had heard of this name, but it was his first time seeing her in person. He had heard that this little girl had been betrothed to the Water Sect. But so what? The Water Sect only wanted her value to the 8 Stone Soldiers formations, while he, Qi Lu, wanted Bei Xiaoman's body. As long as he did not kill her, Rain Master would not pursue the matter on account of his master. Bei Xiaoman was afraid that she would lose to Venerable Chess. She was not worried about winning or losing. Instead, she was worried that Venerable Chess would be too strong and hurt Ning Fan, who was in the Four Corners chess realm. In theory, the Four Corners chess realm could not kill people. However, to a truly powerful expert, even if the Four Corners chess realm could not kill people, it could still severely injure them. Out of selfishness, she was unwilling to compete with Venerable Chess. Thus, she took the initiative to admit defeat before the game started. Because of this, her record became 40 wins and 1 loss, which was a little imperfect. Xiaoman has such a competitive personality. She actually took the initiative to admit defeat? Bei Qinghan felt like it was her first time meeting Bei Xiaoman. She was so surprised that she even forgot to tell Kiki about it. I have already lost 1 game. According to the rules of chess battles, There will not be the same opponent in 50 games. In this way, I can avoid fighting with venerable chess. Bei Xiaoman secretly heaved a sigh of relief. However, she did not expect that her opponent in the next game was still venerable chess. It was the great elder's trick again. Little girl, if you only want to escape, you won't be able to escape from my palm. Venerable Chess's words had a double meaning. Seeing that she really could not avoid venerable chess, Bei Xiaoman gritted her teeth and did not continue to give up. She had a temper too, okay? Since you insist on playing chess, then I will just win without doing anything. Spirits of the heavens, spirits of the earth, little Fanfan, quickly show yourself and get rid of this annoying venerable chess. Little girl, to us chess players, prayers are useless. Your ending has already been decided. Venerable Chess sneered as he placed the chess pieces on the chessboard. He did not use chess soldiers. Instead, he directly separated the power of his primordial spirit and injected it into the chessboard. In an instant, a few of his primordial spirits were directly sent to the Four Corners chess realm and turned into chess soldiers. He actually used his primordial spirits as chess soldiers. This person is really generous. One should know that if his primordial spirits joined forces, they could fight against a peak immortal king. There was no longer any suspense in this game. Most people believed that Bei Xiaoman would lose. Only a few people knew the truth and were not worried. Would Senior Zhao lose to Venerable Chess's primordial spirits? It was impossible. Ning Fan found it strange. It was already time for him to play the 41st game for Bei Xiaoman. However, she actually gave up and admitted defeat for some reason. Ning Fan did not know whether to laugh or cry. It seems like Xiaoman has encountered a powerful chess player. That's why she made such a decision. In a game of chess, giving up was sometimes a wise move. Giving up a chess piece would allow one to gain the upper hand. Giving up a game would allow one to win without losing any chess soldiers. This was considered a very common thing in a game of chess. On the contrary, those who did not know how to give up would never be able to reach the peak of chess. Ning Fan was very suspicious that the reason why he could not win against Bei Xiaoman in chess was because he was unwilling to give up his chess piece. His chess strategy was as clear as barbarian bulls. Forget it. It's just giving up a game. It's not a big deal. I'll just win it back for her in the next game. Time flew in the Four Corners chess realm. After a few hundred days, the 42nd game arrived. Just as he was planning to eliminate all the chess soldiers of the opponent in one round, his expression suddenly changed. He was filled with anger. He felt the power of a Tao law. It was the power of the Tao law that the opponent had injected into the Four Corners chess realm. That was the Tao law of chess. There was a person who had comprehended the Tao law of chess. He tried to use the Tao law of chess to condense an illusory technique and directly attack Bei Xiaoman's sea of consciousness through the game of chess. Ning Fan was, after all, a grandmaster in illusory techniques. With just a glance, he could tell that this illusory technique was similar to enslavement. Once it was planted, Bei Xiaoman would become the opponent's chess slave. Moreover, he could communicate with all living beings in the world. He could clearly hear the dirty thoughts of venerated chess in the depths of the illusory technique. All of a sudden, Ning Fan became silent. That was the silence that would only be triggered by extreme anger. He did not want to speak. He just wanted to kill. Killing intent rose in his eyes. The temperature of the Four Corners chess realm began to plummet, as if it had entered the ancient ice age. In the outside world, venerated chess was secretly setting up an illusory technique. He wanted to subdue Bei Xiaoman with a single move. All of a sudden, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. His qi was greatly weakened. At the same time, all the chess pieces on his chessboard were destroyed. This meant that all of his divine clones that he had sent into the Four Corners chess realm had been destroyed. No, it was not just all of them. After his divine clones were killed, none of them managed to escape from the Four Corners chess realm. All of them had perished there. Who was it? Who was the one who ignored the rules of the Four Corners chess realm, killed his divine clones and destroyed the illusory technique that he had set up in the chessboard? Rumble. The chessboard exploded without any warning. Rainwater rose from the broken part of the chessboard and condensed into a white-robed young man with a pair of emotionless eyes. The way he looked at venerated chess did not carry the slightest emotion. He did not intend to talk to venerated chess any longer. It was just a gaze, but it seemed to carry the might of both yin and yang. It was just a gaze, but venerated chess was unable to withstand it. He was sent flying while coughing out blood. Venerated chess broke out in cold sweat. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was about to die. He did not know who the white-robed young man in front of him was. However, he could easily read the intention of this person to kill him. The aura force of this person was too terrifying. There was no end to this person's cultivation base. It was as if there were 2 layers of circles overlapping each other, covering everything. It was not something that venerated chess could see through. Even though he could not see through this person's cultivation base, no matter how foolish venerated chess was, he could tell that this person was a quasi-saint realm cultivator. He was definitely not weaker than his master, true Lord Fuzhe. Senior, please calm down. I'm perfected Lord Fuzhe's disciple. Senior, you can't. This junior knows his mistake. This junior knows his mistake. It was Venerable Go's pleading voice. Fellow Taoist, wait a moment. I still have use for this child, so I can't kill him. Let's talk this out. It was the voice of a certain sage-to-be hiding in the shadows. Ningfan ignored both revered Qi and the quasi-sage who was hiding in the dark. He had only unleashed one strike. The rain in the world turned into a huge sword and killed Venerable Go with one strike. It also split the starry sky above Shirshir Mountain in half forever, unable to heal. The entire Shirshir Mountain was dead silent. No one had expected venerated Qi to be defeated right after he had set up his chess pieces. It would have been fine if he had only been defeated, but venerated Qi had been killed with a single strike. The aftermath of the sword Qi had even split the starry sky. The starry sky that had been split open was like the bloody mouth of a primordial beast that couldn't be healed no matter what. It was as if this sword had split the starry sky into 2 worlds of yin and yang. But here comes the problem. Who is this white-robed young man who killed venerated Qi and split the starry sky forever? Junior C. Sand greets Senior. Before the others could figure out the reason, C. Sand Emperor and enlightened being Tao Li had already rushed forward and bowed to Ning Fan. Rumble. Countless people were shocked. Only now did they realize who the white-robed young man was. True Lord Daoda, an ancient great cultivator, Zhao Jian. Under the heavens, there was only one person who could make a dignified immortal emperor bow down to him. True Lord Zhao. How lucky they were. They just came to watch a chess battle on Shirshir Mountain. But they actually saw a legendary figure like Northern Heaven. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.